What if everything you learned about human civilization was nothing more than an elaborate lie? Tonight, we're diving into one of history's most explosive conspiracies, the deliberate erasure of an advanced global empire that once dominated our planet. This isn't some fringe theory cooked up by basement dwellers. We're talking about documented evidence, ancient maps and architectural mysteries that challenge the very foundation of mainstream historical narratives. Welcome, truth seekers, to another mind-bending exploration where forbidden knowledge meets undeniable facts. I'm your host, guiding you through the labyrinth of concealed truths that powerful elites desperately want buried forever. As darkness falls and you settle into tonight's journey, prepare to question everything you thought you knew about our past. For over 3 centuries, cartographers meticulously documented a massive civilization spanning continents from Europe's eastern borders through Asia's heartland, extending into territories we now call North America. They called it Tartaria, and it wasn't some primitive wasteland populated by wandering nomads. These detailed maps revealed a sophisticated empire boasting magnificent cities, advanced infrastructure, and technological capabilities that would make modern engineers weep with envy. Then something extraordinary happened. Seemingly overnight, this colossal empire simply vanished from official records. By the 19th century, Tartaria had been completely scrubbed from geographical documentation, dismissed by academic authorities as merely a catch-all term for unexplored regions. But here's where things get sinister. What if this wasn't historical evolution, but systematic destruction of evidence? We're dealing with an empire that challenged conventional timelines, featuring architectural marvels that incorporated electromagnetic principles, atmospheric energy harvesting, and construction techniques that remain mysteries today. These weren't crude settlements built by technologically inferior societies. We're examining structures displaying mathematical precision, acoustic engineering, and design sophistication that suggests knowledge far beyond what mainstream history attributes to those eras. Consider the inhabitants of this lost realm. Historical accounts describe a multicultural confederation where Moorish intellectuals from Africa collaborated with indigenous American master builders, creating wonders that spanned continents. The Moors weren't merely traders or conquerors Maoris, they were architects of civilization, their bloodlines tracing back to ancient biblical dynasties. Native Americans, far from being isolated hunter-gatherers, possessed navigational expertise and construction mastery that rivaled any Old World civilization. These diverse peoples allegedly formed Tartaria's backbone, contributing unique knowledge systems that created unprecedented technological achievements. Their pyramidal structures, astronomical observatories, and megalithic complexes demonstrated understanding of principles we're only beginning to rediscover. Yet official narratives paint them as primitive societies waiting for European enlightenment. But forces beyond mere historical revision were at work. Enter the phenomenon conspiracy researchers call the Great Mud Flood, the catastrophic burial event that allegedly occurred during the early 1800s. This wasn't ordinary flooding. We're examining a global phenomenon that entombed entire metropolitan areas under layers of sediment, leaving only building tops visible above the newly raised ground level. Walk through major cities today and observe carefully. Notice how grand structures appear to emerge from underground, their basement windows sitting at street level, ornate doorways leading nowhere, elaborate facades half buried in earth. These aren't architectural quirks, they're evidence of rapid geological changes that buried Tartarian metropolises, leaving survivors to excavate and repurpose what remained. Photography from the Reconstruction era shows these buildings being literally dug out from surrounding soil, their lower floors completely submerged. Workers aren't constructing new edifices, they're uncovering existing ones, hastily modifying them to serve the emerging industrial powers that would benefit from Tartaria's destruction. Who orchestrated this massive cover-up? Secret societies operating behind governmental facades, organizations like the Freemasons, whose symbolic fingerprints appear carved into architecture worldwide. These groups possess the influence necessary to rewrite historical records, eliminate contradictory evidence, and establish new narratives that glorified Western expansion while burying indigenous achievements. The World's Fairs of the late 19th and early 20th centuries provide smoking gun evidence. Events like Chicago's 1893 Columbian Exposition showcase sprawling complexes of marble palaces, lagoons, and technological displays that allegedly appeared overnight. Official explanations claim these were temporary constructions built specifically for exhibitions, then demolished afterward. But skeptics see something far more sinister. These magnificent structures were surviving Tartarian buildings, excavated after the mud flood, and displayed as curiosities before being systematically destroyed through mysterious fires and hasty demolitions. The Panama Pacific International Exposition in San Francisco followed identical patterns, breathtaking architecture, showcasing advanced engineering, only to disappear shortly after public viewing. Why the rush to eliminate such beauty? Because these buildings contained evidence of suppressed technologies, including atmospheric energy collection systems, disguised as ornamental towers and domes. Tesla himself may have been reverse engineering Tartarian innovations, his work subsequently buried by the same forces that orchestrated the empire's downfall. Antique cartography serves as our primary witness to this vanished civilization. Maps created by renowned explorers and cartographers depicted Great Tartaria as a sovereign nation divided into distinct regions: Grand Tartari, Chinese Tartari, Muscovite Tartari. These documents showed sophisticated road networks, thriving trade routes, and cities with names that have since disappeared from modern geography. By the 1800s, however, Tartaria was being systematically fragmented and absorbed into expanding Russian and Chinese territories, its identity relegated to footnotes in academic obscurity. This wasn't natural political evolution, it was deliberate historical revisionism, orchestrated by organizations like the Jesuit Order and Vatican authorities, who manipulated geographical records to support Eurocentric worldviews that justified colonial expansion. The Illuminati, that shadowy brotherhood, established during the 18th century, also bears responsibility for perpetuating these deceptions. Their pyramid symbolism echoes architectural motifs found throughout former Tartarian territories, suggesting these secret societies appropriated and perverted ancient knowledge systems for their own agenda. Modern truth seekers recognize fragments of this suppressed heritage, surviving in family oral traditions, architectural anomalies, geographical inconsistencies that mainstream academia refuses to address. They speak of ancestors who described the Great Mud Flood, of generations required to reclaim buried lands, of the Blackmores and Native Americans, who built this magnificent empire before European forces systematically erased their contributions from historical consciousness. Tonight's journey has only begun. The evidence mounting against official narratives grows stronger with each revelation, each photograph, each map that contradicts the carefully constructed lies we've been fed for centuries. These descendants weren't refugees from distant African shores, but rather heirs to ancient bloodlines that mastered oceanic navigation and erected monumental structures spanning every continent. The Moors, carrying royal heritage from the tribe of Judah, joined forces with indigenous communities, themselves descendants of the lost 10 tribes of Israel, to construct cities and transportation networks that circled the globe. European invaders systematically conquered these territories, plundering their histories, cultures, and very identities before meticulously erasing all documentation to prevent future discovery. This explains why Moorish architectural elements and Native American design motifs appear carved into structures throughout former Tartarian territories, silent testimonies to their true creators. Walk through any metropolitan area today and observe neoclassical buildings with their towering columns and graceful arches. That structure might be a Tartarian survivor, its engineering sophistication far exceeding what mainstream historians attribute to its supposed construction period. Washington, D.C.'s Capitol building dome exemplifies this mystery. Its advanced engineering defies the technological limitations of its alleged era. European train stations in Budapest and Milan feature elaborate roof systems that appear designed for electromagnetic energy collection rather than simple weather protection. These aren't random architectural choices. They're breadcrumbs leading us back to a technologically superior age. The mudflood hypothesis gains credibility when examining geological inconsistencies plaguing urban excavations worldwide. Archaeological digs consistently reveal uniform sediment layers, suggesting instantaneous burial events rather than gradual accumulation over centuries. Some researchers speculate this catastrophe was artificially triggered through alchemical manipulation or ancient weaponry deployed by internal power struggles within the empire, or perhaps external invaders seeking to claim Tartarian technological secrets. Contemplate the staggering implications for our understanding of human advancement. If Tartarian civilization possessed atmospheric energy harvesting capabilities, why does contemporary society depend on fossil fuel consumption? If their architecture harmonized with natural environmental systems, why has modern construction devolved into sterile glass and steel monuments? The explanation, according to conspiracy researchers, centers on systematic control mechanisms. Secret societies like the Freemasons and Illuminati leverage their infiltration of banking institutions, governmental agencies, and educational systems to ensure humanity completely forgot these revolutionary technologies, channeling civilization into dependency-based economic structures. This manipulation extends into academic curricula that deliberately omit Tartarian references, dismissing them as mythological folklore to discourage serious investigation. However, digital age connectivity has revitalized these discussions, with online communities across platforms like Reddit and YouTube meticulously analyzing historical photographs and cartographic evidence, reconstructing suppressed narratives piece by piece. Consider a hypothetical scenario that captures this mystery's essence. Imagine a young explorer in 1852 accidentally discovering a buried metropolis beneath Midwestern prairies. As excavation progresses, he uncovers marble corridors containing inexplicable devices, luminous orbs generating light without combustion, mechanical apparatus humming with invisible energy sources. Before documentation can occur, shadowy organization agents arrive, confiscating all artifacts and threatening permanent silence. While fictional, this vignette embodies the Tartarian narrative's core missid advanced civilizations deliberately suppressed to maintain existing power structures. The conspiracy intersects with other historical anomalies demanding explanation. Orphan train programs during the late 19th century, which transported thousands of children across America, allegedly redistributed survivors from mudflood-devastated Tartarian families, systematically erasing their ancestral connections. Great urban fires consuming Chicago in 1871 and San Francisco in 1906 weren't accidental disasters but calculated destruction operations, eliminating remaining evidence, mirroring ancient library burnings throughout history. Question everything you've accepted as historical fact. What if the Renaissance wasn't cultural rebirth, but systematic reclamation of stolen Tartarian knowledge? What if Industrial Revolution innovations originated from pilfered blueprints rather than European ingenuity? Through this lens, Moors and Native Americans emerge as heroes from suppressed sagas, their contributions spanning Mexican pyramids, Indian temples, and European fortifications, all components of a unified global Tartarian network. Their biblical connections introduce spiritual dimensions, suggesting divine heritage that conquering forces feared and systematically obscured. History remains malleable, stories crafted by victorious powers. Tartaria challenges us to peer beyond manufactured veils, seeking truth within ruins and ancient cartography. Now we examine the pivotal mudflood catastrophe that allegedly reshaped our world beyond recognition. This phenomenon supposedly occurred during the early 19th century, when colossal mud deluges swept across continents, entombing entire civilizations beneath sediment layers so massive that only architectural fragments remained visible afterward. Far from simple geological accidents, these events raise profound questions about natural catastrophes, potentially amplified by unknown forces, or perhaps something more sinister, weaponized assaults on human progress itself. The mudflood theory, intrinsically connected to Tartarian Empire collapse, compels examination of historical anomalies, defying conventional explanations, forcing us to wonder whether the ground beneath our feet conceals evidence of deliberate erasure operations. Observe the peculiar architecture scattered throughout modern cities, where buildings appear partially consumed by soil, as if swallowed by invisible tides. Chicago exemplifies this phenomenon, where late 19th century streets reveal structures with improbably deep foundations, windows positioned at ground level like eyes half buried in perpetual slumber. Historical documentation describes city-wide elevation projects during the 1850s and 1860s, with engineers mechanically raising entire blocks to address flooding and sewage complications. But what if these elevation projects weren't proactive flood prevention measures, but desperate excavation efforts following mud apocalypse events? Period photographs show sidewalks elevated above natural terrain levels, with forgotten chambers beneath containing relics suggesting prior habitation. Official history skeptics interpret these discoveries as Tartarian remnants, thriving cities once situated at higher elevations before being inundated by viscous sediment flows that solidified into contemporary landscapes. The mud wasn't merely waterlogged earth, but liquefied slurry potentially triggered by seismic upheavals or atmospheric disturbances that temporarily liquefied soil on planetary scales. San Francisco provides even more compelling evidence for mudflood theorists. While the infamous 1906 earthquake receives extensive documentation, pre-disaster accounts describe buried layers discovered during construction projects. Historical maps and engineering reports detail foundations extending inexplicably deep, with artifacts like cobblestone streets and building facades uncovered far below current grade levels. The Montgomery Block serves as particularly intriguing evidence. This historic structure survived multiple fires and earthquakes, yet its lower levels suggest partial burial before reclamation efforts. Mudflood proponents identify this pattern, repeating across coastal and inland regions, where sediment uniformity, fine, clay-like deposits, lacking stratification expected from gradual accumulation, implies singular rapid burial events, rather than centuries-long geological processes. These architectural mysteries force reconsideration of official timelines and construction narratives, suggesting our cities may be built atop the remains of far more advanced civilizations than mainstream academia acknowledges. Envision a torrent not composed of water, but churning sediment cascading from mountainous regions or explosively emerging from underground caverns, suffocating entire metropolitan areas within mere hours or days. This wasn't gradual erosion spanning millennia, it was a terrestrial blitzkrieg that buried civilizations instantaneously, forcing survivors to excavate and reconstruct atop the devastation, while the true catalyst remained mysteriously concealed. What mechanism could trigger such widespread devastation? The conventional scientific explanations attribute comparable events to soil liquefaction during seismic disturbances or volcanic eruptions. Yet the mudflood hypothesis elevates this concept to planetary proportions. Certain researchers connect it to the Carrington event of 1859 and a massive solar storm that crippled telegraph systems globally, potentially representing an electromagnetic surge that destabilized Earth's geological foundation, transforming solid terrain into quicksand-like conditions across unprecedented scales. Alternative interpretations draw connections to ancient mythological accounts, particularly biblical flood narratives, where receding waters revealed a transformed landscape. From this perspective, the mudflood might represent contemporary parallels to Noah's deluge, substituting divine rainfall with subterranean eruptions or melting permafrost releasing torrential silt deposits. The Atlantis connection proves equally fascinating. Plato's documentation describes an advanced civilization destroyed by cataclysmic forces. If Tartaria represented a post-Atlantean society, sediment burial could have delivered the final blow in recurring cycles of ascension and collapse. Visualize massive underground reservoirs rupturing violently, or polar ice displacement generating mudslides across hemispheres, events capable of entombing sophisticated infrastructure while preserving nomadic or elevated populations. However, the mystery intensifies when considering this flood wasn't natural accident, but engineered weaponry in clandestine warfare. Enter geological combat concepts, where ancient or concealed technologies manipulated terrestrial forces as battlefield instruments. Theorists propose that competing factions, perhaps remnants from older empires or secretive organizations, deployed mechanisms capable of inducing liquefaction through sonic resonance or electromagnetic manipulation. Historical references to earthquake generation devices resonate here. Tesla himself experimented with oscillating machines capable of structural demolition. If Tartarian knowledge encompassed such instruments, weaponized versions might have triggered the sediment catastrophe. Consider scenarios where Tartaria's adversaries, recognizing the Empire's technological supremacy, unleashed chain reactions through focused energy projection or subterranean detonations that transformed solid ground into flowing devastation, burying armies, cities, and knowledge simultaneously. This isn't pure speculation. Contemporary military forces investigate geoengineering applications from weather manipulation to seismic induction, suggesting such capabilities existed in concealed forms centuries earlier. Examining evidence from unexpected sources, Russia's heartland Miz, historically designated as Great Tartary on cartographic documentation, reveals excavated fortifications and settlements beneath uniform sediment layers dating to the 18th and 19th centuries. Kazan's Kremlin, partially restored from apparent submersion, fuels speculation that mudflows targeted strategic locations across continents. Salt Lake City presents additional anomalies where pioneer documentation describes encountering landscapes dotted with ancient ruins, partially buried, which they attributed to biblical civilizations, but align with Tartarian architectural aesthetics, doomed constructions and precision masonry, now integrated into Mormon building traditions. European evidence emerges from Paris's catacombs and underground quarries concealing levels, allegedly flooded with sediment, preserving artifacts from pre-flood periods. These locations share common characteristics. BMOL's buried sections often display advanced engineering like seamless stonework or unexplained conduit systems, suggesting societies far exceeding contemporary horse and cart technological limitations. The temporal aspect adds mysterious complexity. Why specifically the early 19th century? This period coincides with global upheavals, including Napoleonic conflicts, the War of 1812, and volcanic eruptions like Mount Tambora in 1815, causing the infamous year without summer. Could volcanic ash combined with precipitation have contributed to sediment viscosity, or did Tambora's eruption provide cover for artificial triggers? Documentation from that era remains suspiciously sparse, with numerous archives destroyed by fires or natural disasters, raising suspicions about coordinated evidence elimination. American rapid urbanization post-1810 witnessed cities like New York excavating and refilling streets, ostensibly for infrastructure development, but possibly concealing flood aftermath. Historical engravings depict horse-drawn vehicles removing enormous earth quantities, while beneath Manhattan lie forgotten tunnels and chambers, echoing Tartarian design principles, vast resonating spaces lacking clear purpose in official historical accounts. Expanding investigative boundaries, some researchers connect mudflood events to celestial phenomena. Comet appearances during the 1810s and 1820s, including the Great Comet of 1811, are cited as harbingers whose tails possibly deposited cosmic particles, altering atmospheric conditions toward hyperliquefaction. Alternatively, magnetic pole shifts, sudden reorientations of Earth's electromagnetic field, could have destabilized continental masses, causing sediment to flow like rivers. Geophysical data reveals anomalies in sediment composition from this period, displaying unexplained magnetic particle concentrations that fuel debates among alternative scientists. If Tartarian civilization harnessed geomagnetic energy for technological applications, field disruptions might have catastrophically backfired, converting their power sources into destructive forces. Human testimonies woven throughout this narrative deserve attention. Pioneer diaries from America's Western territories describe freshly muddied landscapes, while Native American communities preserve oral traditions recounting great burial events, forcing massive migrations. Cherokee accounts speak of ancient mounds, artificial hills, that theorists claim are sediment-covered pyramids from Tartarian settlements. African and Asian cultures maintain similar legends, Dogon tales of submerged cities or Chinese chronicles documenting mud deluges during Qing dynasty periods. These narratives converge on global events, suggesting coordinated memory suppression by colonial powers benefiting from chaos, claiming empty territories that were actually recently excavated ruins. Multiplying questions generate staggering implications. If mudflood events were weaponized, who controlled them? Accusations target emerging industrialists or ancient bloodlines preserving dominance through progress resets. Rothschild or Rockefeller families ascending during the 19th century are sometimes accused of funding cover-up operations, utilizing newfound wealth to rewrite cartographic and historical documentation. Ghost city phenomena and period photographs showing empty streets flanked by magnificent edifices suggest decimated populations, with survivors experiencing amnesia or coerced silence. Underground anomalies strengthen theoretical foundations. Kentucky's Mammoth Cave system reveals artificial extensions buried in silt, potentially representing Tartarian escape routes or storage facilities. Turkey's Derinkuyu subterranean city, capable of housing thousands, might have sheltered refugees from surface devastation. These hidden realms provoke questions about Tartarian survivors, foreseeing the deluge and retreating underground, later emerging to covertly influence our world. Mudflood legacy persists in contemporary mysteries. Urban sinkholes consuming buildings echo historical patterns, while climate models predict comparable liquefaction during future seismic events. If these represent cyclical phenomena, as Atlantis parallels suggest, are we approaching another occurrence? Such contemplations challenge fundamental assumptions, compelling scrutiny of soil composition for clues about obscured origins. Unraveling these threads reveals not merely disaster documentation, but pivotal moments in human destiny, where buried brilliance gave birth to our current age. As investigative layers peel away, the mudflood stands sentinel, guarding secrets that beckon courageous researchers to excavate deeper truths. From buried remnants of a silent civilization, our investigation shifts toward tantalizing evidence of technologies capable of transforming humanity's destiny. Innovations so revolutionary they appear extracted from futuristic narratives, yet grounded in artifacts from vanished worlds. What if those magnificent spires and elaborate domes adorning Tartarian architecture weren't merely decorative expressions of artistic vision, but functional apparatus for capturing limitless atmospheric energy? This concept transports us into domains where unlimited power wasn't distant fantasy but suppressed reality, with Tesla's visionary transmission towers reflecting designs potentially originating from this lost empire's core. As we examine these theories, prepare to challenge fundamental assumptions about our energy-dependent civilization. Evidence suggests a society that extracted power directly from atmospheric sources, illuminating vast urban centers without coal or petroleum dependence. Picture a terrain punctuated by soaring edifices, their metallic finials and elaborate latte work penetrating skylines like receivers tuned to invisible frequencies. Researchers investigating Tartarian mysteries propose these weren't conventional buildings, but colossal collection systems, accessing atmospheric electricity, a natural energy reservoir generated by Earth's ionosphere and electrical storm activity. This phenomenon, frequently termed etheric or radiant energy, theorizes that atmospheric conditions contain charged particles awaiting harvest without fuel consumption. During the late 19th century, as industrial development dominated global society, patents emerged for devices capturing this ambient force. However, many disappeared into obscurity, generating suspicions about intentional suppression by emerging energy monopolists. Could these inventions represent reverse-engineered applications of Tartarian relics, discovered after mud-flood catastrophes and rapidly appropriated? Isella, the mysterious inventor synonymous with electrical innovation, bridges historical periods in this narrative. His Wardenclyffe Tower, constructed in 1901 on Long Island, was engineered to transmit wireless power across enormous distances, utilizing Earth's resonant frequencies, yet funding vanished mysteriously, and the structure was demolished in 1917 amid suppression rumors by financiers like J.P. Morgan, who profited from wired electrical systems. Tartarian enthusiasts identify striking parallels between Wardenclyffe and ornate cupolas crowning old-world architecture. Structures like New York's Singer Building or Paris's Palais Garnier, with their gilded rooftops and spire-like extensions. These, they contend, were prototype towers scaled throughout the empire, forming a planetary grid for unlimited energy distribution. Envision networks where power flowed freely without measurement devices or monopolistic control, energizing street illumination that glowed perpetually in machinery operating without combustion. Examining operational mechanics, the theory centers on cold electricity concepts, They show energy forms that don't heat conductors like conventional current, but flow with ethereal efficiency. Edwin Gray, an inventor in 1972, demonstrated motors utilizing this principle, claiming rediscovery of lost techniques, possibly Tartarian methods, converting radiant energy into usable power. Gray's devices, surrounded by controversy and allegedly suppressed through government interventions, paralleled Tesla's experiments with high-frequency oscillations. Within Tartarian contexts, this cold electricity might have powered elaborate fountains and mechanical marvels at World's Fair's events, now interpreted as showcases for salvage technology. Chicago's 1893 exposition featured illuminated lagoons and electric railways consuming significantly less power than documentation suggests, implying hidden atmospheric sources accessed through the fair's towering structures. Architectural evidence worldwide intensifies curiosity. Star forts mines those distinctive star-shaped bastions from Renaissance periods, are reinterpreted not as defensive installations, but as geomagnetic amplification systems, their precise geometries aligning with ley lines to channel terrestrial and atmospheric energies, constructed across Europe, Asia, and the Americas in regions formerly under Tartarian influence. These fortifications' angles and proportions could have generated resonant fields producing power through piezoelectric effects or harmonic vibration. Contemporary experiments with comparable shapes demonstrate their ability to focus acoustic waves or electromagnetic pulses. Scaled appropriately, they might have energized entire regions. Visualize a Dutch fort with points directed skyward, silently harvesting storm energy to illuminate surrounding villages. The systems erased when colonial powers repurposed them as mere military artifacts. Exploring etheric technology concepts, outdated yet revived ideas suggest Tartarians mastered the luminiferous ether, a hypothetical medium permeating space, once dismissed by Einstein's relativity, but now echoed in quantum field theories. Tesla championed ether concepts, describing it as an energy ocean from which power could be extracted indefinitely. Within this framework, Tartarian domes functioned as capacitors, their metallic surfaces ionizing air to create plasma conduits. Historical photographs of onion-domed cathedrals in Russia, Yukor Tartarian territory, display finials resembling Tesla coils, potentially discharging energy in controlled bursts. Some speculate these structures simultaneously modified weather patterns, dissipating storms or inducing precipitation, explaining the empire's agricultural success amid harsh climates. Suppression theories add intrigue layers connecting to broader free energy conspiracies. Why, if such technology existed, does humanity struggle under fossil fuel dependence? Theorists identify cabals of industrialists and secret societies who, post-mudflood, seized Tartarian remnants to monopolize knowledge. Rockefeller and Carnegie, empires rose through oil and steel industries that would collapse if unlimited energy prevailed. Patents from approximately 1900, including atmospheric electricity harvesters by inventors like Hermann Plasson, describe balloon-mounted collectors paralleling alleged Tartarian aircraft, dirigibles, or airships drawing power during flight. These concepts faded, buried in archives, or discredited, mirroring Tesla's fate following his tower's failure. Modern parallels generate fascination. Communities experimenting with Tesla-inspired coils report anomalous energy gains defying thermodynamics' second law. Alternative history forums feature builders recreating Tartarian generators using mercury-filled tubes and crystal arrays, claiming over-unity outputs exceeding input energy. While skeptics dismiss pseudoscience claims, these efforts revive questions about lost knowledge. Could the Philadelphia experiment of 1943, involving naval invisibility research, have accessed Tartarian etheric technology, producing disastrous side effects like temporal distortions? Global connections suggest Tartarian free energy might link to ancient sites like Egypt's pyramids, interpreted as power plants, with subterranean chambers resonating at specific frequencies. The Moors, integral to Tartarian civilization, contributed alchemical secrets from Africa, blending them with indigenous American crystal grid knowledge. Native tribal medicine wheels to circular stone arrangements could have been energy amplifiers aligning with solstices to harness solar winds. Mesoamerican Mayan temples with step designs mirror Tesla's oscillatory circuits, potentially broadcasting power wirelessly across jungle regions. Tartarian technology's aesthetic dimensions prove equally intriguing: ornate functional beauty, where forms serve purpose. Mercury, a conductor in ancient mythology, might have filled building channels, facilitating energy flow, explaining alchemical symbols carved into facades. Fires devastating cities post-flood, like London's 1666 conflagration, are theorized as attempts to melt these mercury systems, erasing evidence. Surviving mercury-based artifacts like antique barometers in museums hint at broader applications, once powering entire civilizations through atmospheric harvesting networks. Consider the profound societal ramifications. A civilization powered by unlimited atmospheric energy would completely dismantle existing hierarchical structures, empowering individuals rather than corporate monopolies. Tartaria's collapse, viewed through this lens, becomes a sobering tale of jealousy and authoritarian control, where invading forces systematically dismantled energy networks, dispersing technological components into mythological obscurity. Contemporary renewable initiatives, solar panels and wind turbines, hail compared to atmospheric harvesting requiring no manufactured equipment, merely architecturally tuned structures. As investigation continues, anomalies emerge throughout modern infrastructure. Unexplained electrical surges plague historic buildings, like the Empire State Building's original antenna systems, causing persistent radio interference, suggesting dormant Tartarian circuitry. Underground municipal vaults reveal coiled cables manufactured from unknown alloys, displaying remarkable corrosion resistance and potentially designed for high-voltage etheric current transmission. The pursuit of verification drives contemporary researchers to reconstruct these systems. Amateur enthusiasts construct geocells, mortar-based energy devices, echoing Tartarian hydrology, claiming propulsion without fuel consumption. Videos documenting luminous spheres within recreated dome structures fuel ongoing debates about rediscovered technology versus elaborate illusions. Concluding this technological marvel exploration, Tartaria's forgotten innovations challenge us to envision brighter paths untaken, where Tesla's visionary concepts represented everyday reality. Yet the suppression veil persists, encouraging us to seek fragments within our surrounding environment, maintaining perpetual curiosity about the power that once illuminated ancient skies. Scattered across our planet like cryptic gems embedded within Earth's surface, starforts stand as silent sentinels guarding histories that resist conforming to sanitized narratives we've been indoctrinated to accept. These polygonal masterpieces, featuring pointed bastions radiating outward in geometric precision, appear throughout 35 countries, from Portugal's windswept coastlines to Sri Lanka's dense jungle terrain and America's urban sprawl. Official documentation categorizes them as gunpowder-era remnants, engineered during the 15th and 16th centuries to withstand cannon bombardment by eliminating defensive blind spots. However, pause and contemplate why countless structures share nearly identical blueprints, as if designed by singular visionary intelligence across oceans and epochs. Could their stellar configurations hint toward purposes far more profound than military tactics? Perhaps forgotten functions connected to planetary rhythmic patterns themselves? Journey mentally to Naarden Star Fort in the Netherlands. Panama is a pristine example, encircled by moats mirroring its angular symmetry like aquatic halos. Allegedly constructed during the late 17th century, its walls form 12-pointed stellar patterns, each bastion resembling sharp arrowheads designed for artillery deflection. Yet closer examination reveals the fortification's layout, aligning mysteriously with local ley lines. Those invisible energy pathways theorized to crisscross terrestrial surfaces. Alternative history enthusiasts whisper such alignments aren't coincidental. Instead, these installations might have functioned as geomagnetic force amplifiers, channeling planetary natural vibrations into usable power. Visualize standing at its center during electrical storms, atmosphere humming with energy as structural geometry focuses ambient electricity, similar to lenses concentrating sunlight. Could dismissed defensive architecture actually represent networks of ancient power stations harmonizing with cosmic frequencies? Venturing internationally, India's star forts near Mumbai add complexity to this puzzle. Constructed during Portuguese colonial periods, weathered stone points project into the Arabian Sea, surrounded by intricate water channel remnants. Traditional accounts frame them as bulwarks against invasion, yet researchers note resemblances to cymatic patterns, mesmerizing shapes formed by sound waves vibrating through sand or water. If vibrations sculpt matter on microscopic scales, why not grand ones? Theorists propose these fortifications were tuned to specific frequencies, potentially generating harmonic fields promoting well-being or consciousness alteration for inhabitants. Picture communities gathering inside, not for military exercises, but rituals where fort designs resonated with healing tones, fostering joy and unity among residents. This concept gains credibility, noting how many star forts incorporate aquatic features, moats, canals, or reservoirs potentially acting as conductors for acoustic or electromagnetic waves. These structures' sheer prevalence fuels endless speculation. North America's Fort Monroe in Virginia echoes European counterparts, its 7 bastions forming near-perfect heptagons. Built during early 19th century overlooking Chesapeake Bay, foundations hint at older origins with some layers buried deeper than anticipated. Could this indicate pre-colonial presence? Remnants from transcontinental civilizations predating official timelines. Tartarian hypothesis proponents argue affirmatively, positioning star forts as outposts from vast empires spanning Siberia to the Americas. From this perspective, fortifications weren't born from Italian Renaissance engineers like Michelangelo or Scamozzi, but inherited from earlier epochs repurposed by subsequent powers obscuring true functions. What if defensive narratives were convenient retrofits masking roles in global energy grids, harnessing ether, hypothetical mediums once thought filling space and carrying electromagnetic waves? Examining their design mathematics deepens intrigue. Star forts often adhere to sacred geometry with angles and proportions mirroring golden ratios or platonic solids. France's citadel of Lille boasts pentagonal cores with extended ravelin extensions, layouts evoking pentagrams, symbols long associated with mystical energies. Some speculate these geometries created resonant chambers, where sound or vibration could be amplified, producing effects beyond current understanding. Modern cymatics experiments demonstrate how frequencies shape matter. Applied massively, star forts might have functioned as giant tuning forks drawing power from Earth's magnetic fields or atmospheric ions. Envision lightning storms supercharging structures, points acting as antennas capturing and distributing energy wirelessly, illuminating nearby settlements without wires or fuel sources. This energy-centric interpretation aligns with broader historical anomaly questions. Why do numerous star forts feature underground tunnel and chamber networks extending far beyond storage or escape requirements? Portugal's star fort of Almeida contains subterranean labyrinths that could have housed energy storage or distribution mechanisms. Skeptics attribute them to military logistics, but imagine instead capacitors or resonators storing harvested power for communal use. Theory extends to aquatic surroundings. Moats might not have been mere barriers, but integral components using water as mediums for piezoelectric effects, generating electricity from pressure or vibration during seismic activity or rhythmic human gatherings. These fortifications could have pulsed with life, converting natural forces into beneficial outputs like illumination, heat, or mood-enhancing fields. Crossing into Asia, Japan's Osaka Castle presents stylistic fusion, outer defenses incorporating stellar elements amid traditional samurai architecture, though 20th century reconstruction complicates analysis. Historical documentation describes original designs featuring pointed bastions resembling European star forts, suggesting knowledge transfer across vast distances or shared architectural inheritance from common sources. Could these represent evidence of global civilization networks predating conventional historical frameworks? Each star fort worldwide demonstrates sophisticated engineering understanding, mathematical precision, and geometric harmony that challenges mainstream historical narratives about technological development and cultural exchange patterns throughout human civilization. Origins trace back to the late 16th century, coinciding with periods of rapid technological exchange. Could merchants or migrants from Western territories, or perhaps shared ancient sources, have influenced these designs? Within Tartarian frameworks, such fortifications mark boundaries of unified realms where energy apparatus ensured prosperity across diverse cultural groups. The Moors, frequently cited as master architects in these theories, allegedly infused designs with alchemical knowledge, blending African, European, and Asian elements into harmonious wholes. What secrets might exist within these fortifications' alignments with celestial bodies? Their points oriented towards solstice sunrises or key constellation positions suggest astronomical significance beyond military applications. Africa contains its own enigmas, through structures like Fort Jesus in Mombasa, Kenya, exhibiting star fort characteristics amid Swahili influences. Constructed by Portuguese forces during the late 16th century, its angular walls overlook the Indian Ocean. However, local legends describe older fortifications predating European arrival. If star forts functioned as energy hubs, coastal placements make sense for harnessing tidal forces or saltwater conductivity to boost operational efficiency. Consider global patterns revealing many cluster along trade routes or geomagnetic hotspots, suggesting deliberate networks rather than isolated defenses. Unified systems could have facilitated communication or power sharing across vast distances, predating modern electrical grids by centuries. Skepticism persists among historians, emphasizing evolution from medieval castles to trace Italian forts, crediting innovators like Vauban in France for perfecting designs against evolving warfare. Yet mainstream accounts acknowledge these fortifications' acoustic properties, the echoes that could disorient attackers, or earthquake resilience, hinting at unintended multifunctional benefits. Within Tartarian frameworks, this resilience stems from intentional tuning to Earth's frequencies, preventing structural failure while enhancing energy flow dynamics. Consider Ghana's abandoned Elmina Star Fort, its bastions weathered by time. Beneath surfaces, unexplored vaults might contain clues to forgotten technologies, from crystal arrays to metallic alloys conducting etheric currents. Returning to America, Fort McHenry in Baltimore, famous for inspiring the Star-Spangled Banner, reveals additional facets. Its stellar shape with 5 bastions overlooks the harbor, but construction during the late 18th century overlaps with reports of unexplained archaeological discoveries. Conspiracy circles link it to broader suppression efforts, and after cataclysmic events buried older layers, these forts were excavated and claimed as new constructions. What if their true legacy involved balancing human endeavors with natural forces, creating harmony oases in turbulent worlds? Star forts' allure lies in their duality, monuments to human ingenuity, or portals to lost wisdom. As satellite imagery reveals more hidden examples in remote areas, questions multiply. Were they nodes in planetary circuits sustaining civilizations that thrived on environmental symbiosis? Or do they simply represent defensive evolution pinnacles? Truth may elude us, but pursuit stirs profound curiosity, urging us to look beyond the visible and listen for echoes of what might have been. In glittering annals of human achievement, few spectacles capture imagination quite like grand world's fairs of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Vast expositions where nations paraded their ingenuity, cultures clashed in harmonious displays, and future visions materialized amid lagoons and pavilions. These events, held in cities like Chicago, St. Louis, and San Francisco, drew millions of visitors showcasing marvels that seemed to defy contemporary engineering limitations. Yet beneath these celebrated gatherings' surfaces lies a web of unanswered questions, beckoning closer examination. Were these fairs truly constructed from scratch within mere months, or did they unveil salvaged splendor from concealed pasts? As we wander through these ephemeral empires' echoes, the Tartarian hypothesis emerges, suggesting what was presented as innovation might have been final glimpses of vanquished civilizations, hastily exhibited before being consigned to oblivion through calculated demolition and fire acts. Transport yourself to Chicago's heart in 1893, where the World's Columbian Exposition unfolded like dreams woven from white plaster and electric illumination. Spanning over 600 acres along Lake Michigan shores, this white city featured neoclassical palaces, intricate canals and towering statues evoking ancient Rome or Athens' grandeur. The Court of Honor, with its basin reflecting domes and colonnades, was illuminated by thousands of incandescent bulbs, feats credited to inventors like Edison and Westinghouse. Official records claim fair construction occurred under 2 years, employing tens of thousands of workers, erecting structures primarily from staff, temporary plaster materials over wood and iron frameworks. But consider the scale pines, over 200 buildings, including the massive manufacturers and liberal arts building, spanning 32 acres, standing as the world's largest roofed structure then. How could such opulence arise so swiftly in a city still recovering from the Great Fire of 1871? Tartarian proponents whisper these weren't new creations at all, but excavated remnants of pre-existing metropolises, unearthed from mud layers of recent cataclysms and repurposed to dazzle masses while masking true origins. The fair's rapid assembly fuels this speculation. Period photographs show construction sites where buildings appear partially buried, with workers seemingly excavating foundations rather than laying new ones. Lagoons and waterways engineered by landscape architect Frederick Law Olmsted mirror ancient canal systems found in purported Tartarian sites across Europe and Asia. What if these waters weren't merely aesthetic pleasures, but echoed functional aqueducts from lost eras, designed to harness hydraulic power or atmospheric energies? The exposition introduced the public to wonders like the first Ferris wheel, Minileshiniso Wikolosol structure, that some theorists link to Tartarian mechanical prowess, its rotation symbolizing civilizational rise and fall cycles. Yet the fair's closure in October 1893 marked the beginning of eerie demise. Within months, fires ravaged grounds not once, but in multiple incidents, culminating in blazes on July 5, 1894, that reduced the White City to ashes. Official explanations cite arson or electrical faults, but timing raises suspicions. Why destroy such architectural treasures so soon after unveiling, especially when proposals existed to preserve them as permanent parks? This exhibition followed by Erasure pattern repeats in subsequent fairs, each potentially representing windows into suppressed history. Journey westward to San Francisco for the Panama Pacific International Exposition of 1915, a phoenix rising from 1906, earthquake and fire rubble. Held to celebrate Panama Canal completion, this fair transformed the Marina District into jewel-studded wonderlands, with the Tower of Jewels, a 43-story edifice, encrusted in over 100,000 cut-glass novelties, sparkling under searchlights. The fair's architecture blended Beaux Arts styles with exotic motifs, including the Palace of Fine Arts, a rotunda and colonnade evoking classical ruins amid lagoons teeming with swans. Built on filled marshland, structures were supposedly temporary, yet their intricate details, mosaics, murals, and sculptural friezes suggest craftsmanship far beyond what rushed labor could achieve. These World's Fair mysteries continue challenging official narratives about construction timelines, architectural capabilities, and the systematic destruction of magnificent structures that might have contained evidence of advanced civilizations predating our current historical understanding. What captivates scholars is the exactitude amid uncertainty, territorial boundaries appearing remarkably precise for regions Europeans barely explored. Did Ortelius inadvertently document remnants of authentic empires, or were his illustrations shaped by rumors of superior civilizations that subsequent historians deliberately obscured? Advancing to the early 17th century, mysteries deepen with Dutch Golden Age cartography, including Jodocus Hondius's 1633 masterpiece, simply labeled Tartaria. This copper plate etching, hand-tinted in brilliant colors, stretched territories westward toward Muscovite Russia and southward into Persian domains, featuring detailed illustrations of fur-adorned warriors and mystical creatures roaming endless steppes. Hondius, expanding upon Mercator's projections, incorporated testimonies from Russian explorers including compilations by Nikolai Witson, who characterized Tartaria as territories abundant in pelts, precious metals, and aromatic spices. His cartographic work divided regions into sections like Chinese Tartary and independent Tartary, yet unified them beneath singular emblems, implying governmental coherence rather than scattered tribal formations. One must question why these divisions appeared fluid, as if cartographers wrestled with descriptions of centralized governance that challenged European understanding. The erasure commences gradually by the mid-1600s as Tsarist Russian expansion intensified. Tartarian frontiers began merging with Siberian territories, increasingly claimed as Russian possessions. Was this cartographic transformation reflecting actual conquest, or inaugural attempts at broader assimilation of rival legacies into ascending empires? During the 18th century, maps transformed into even more sophisticated testimonials, such as Peter van der Aar's 1700 compilation featuring Tartariae Magnae Chami Imperium. Detailed charts derived from Whitson's expeditions and Jesuit missionary documentation. This cartographic evidence portrayed Tartaria as imperial dominion, featuring thoroughfares connecting prosperous commercial centers like Tobolsk and Astrakhan, plus annotations describing sophisticated fortifications echoing the star forts previously examined. Van der Aar's contribution to his comprehensive atlas displayed regions abundant with natural wealth, mines, forests, and waterways, navigable by substantial vessels, suggesting advanced infrastructure networks. Yet as centuries advanced, figures like French cartographer Guillaume de L'Isle in 1706 began fragmenting Tartaria, further designating portions as Petite Tartarie near Black Sea regions and Grande Tartarie extending toward Arctic territories. De L'Isle's maps, informed by Russian envoys, introduced skepticism questioning regional unity, while attributing it to obsolete Mongol influences. This fragmentation accelerated by 1740, when Isaac Tyrion's Nova Carta de la Tartaria depicted diminishing domains with boundaries encroached by Qing China eastward and Russian principalities westward. Tyrion's annotations referenced recent observations, but whose testimonies, map scales at 118 million, revealed formerly vast territories, now compartmentalized, their designations relegated to marginal references. The 19th century marked pivotal disappearing acts where Tartaria dissolved like vapor at sunrise. John Pinkerton's 1818 Modern Atlas retained the terminology faintly over Central Asian regions, but by 1832 maps from the Society for Diffusion of Useful Knowledge eliminated it entirely, substituting Russian Empire or Chinese Turkestan. This elimination coincided with European imperialism's zenith, opium wars in China, the Great Game in Central Asia, periods when colonial powers redrew territorial boundaries serving their ambitions. Russian historians like Vasily Tartashev in 1742 had already begun reclassifying Tartaria as nomadic territories absorbed by Tsarist rule, while British cartographers like Aaron Arrowsmith in 1804 mapped Siberian regions without Tartarian labels, emphasizing British exploratory claims. The question persists: was this natural knowledge refinement as explorers filled geographical gaps, or orchestrated elimination? Conspiracy perspectives suggest the latter, highlighting Vatican influence through Jesuit cartographers who standardized geography, aligning with Eurocentric doctrines, omitting non-Christian empires that might undermine biblical chronologies or colonial justifications. Examining these revision mechanisms reveals orchestrated manipulations. Cartography was never neutral. It served power, funded by monarchs and institutions with agendas. The Russian Academy of Sciences, established in 1724, commissioned surveys systematically Russifying Tartarian regions, renaming cities and rivers to erase Mongol Tatar origins. Similarly, the Qing dynasty's 1708 to 1718 Jesuit-led surveys integrated Chinese Tartary into imperial maps, suppressing nomadic autonomy. In Europe, Enlightenment, emphasis on empirical science led to dismissing vague terms like Tartaria as medieval ignorance relics, yet this conveniently ignored eyewitness testimonies from travelers like William of Rubruck in the 13th century, who described Tartar empires of unprecedented scope. The 1784 Encyclopaedia Britannica edition still referenced Tartary as vast northern Asian territories, but by 1911 editions, it was reduced to historical footnotes, its disappearance attributed to improved knowledge, better for whom, timing aligned with nationalism's rise where emerging states like Russia and China consolidated narratives portraying them as eternal sovereigns, not successors to greater predecessors. Hidden within these maps are symbols and anomalies igniting further speculation. Ortelius's 1570 map includes illustrations of tented encampments and crowned figures, implying royalty beyond mere khans. Hondius's 1633 version features mythical elements like Lake Kite Meus, a water body vanishing in later maps, perhaps representing flooded Tartarian heartlands. Tyrion's 1740 chart shows unexplained interior blank spaces, as if certain knowledge was deliberately withheld. Some theorists examine projections themselves. Mercator's conformal maps distorted northern latitudes, exaggerating Tartaria's dimensions, which later cylindrical projections minimized, visually shrinking regions. Could this represent intentional cartographic sleight of hand? Moreover, watermarks and dedications on these maps often connect to secretive organizations. Vandaria's works bear emblems associated with Freemasonic guilds, ropes, groups accused of guarding esoteric histories. Broader implications ripple outward, connecting to global revisions. In the Americas, early maps showing California as an island persisted until mid-18th century, mirroring Tartaria's fate where mythical geographies were corrected to fit colonial expansions. Nicholas Sanson's 1650 map shows Tartaria extending to Bering Strait, hinting at trans-Pacific connections with Native American cultures whose oral histories describe ancient eastern migrations. If Tartaria encompassed such breadth, its erasure might conceal shared technologies or bloodlines, the Moorish and indigenous links previously explored. Russian expansion under Peter the Great in early 1700s accelerated this through edicts, destroying pre-Petrine records, including maps depicting Tartaria as equal rival. Today, sifting through digital archives, remnants surface on platforms like David Rumsey Historical Map Collection, where over a dozen Tartaria maps from 1570 onward reveal consistent depictions until abrupt changes in the 1800s. A 1673 map from Joannes Blaeu's atlas shows Tartaria with detailed ethnographies, including Tartari Vagabundi, wandering tribes, some interpret as displaced survivors of fallen empires. The Library of Congress's Tracking Tartari acknowledges the term's longevity, but attributes its fade to exploration advances. Yet even there, questions arise about why such prominent labeling evaporated so completely from human consciousness and geographical documentation. Pseudo-historical researchers amplify these mysteries, asserting that institutions like the Smithsonian systematically hoarded Tartarian cartographic evidence post-1850, coinciding with mudflood periods to prevent revelations about advanced predecessors. Online investigation communities meticulously analyze discrepancies, like Tyrion's 1740 maps, incorporating recent observations, contradicting earlier territorial expanses, suggesting deliberately fabricated updates. The Vatican's classified archives, rumored to contain suppressed Jesuit cartography, introduce espionage elements. Did papal bulls influence redrawing efforts to centralize Christian historiography? Ultimately, these ancient maps function as gateways to alternative realities, where Tartaria's vanishing wasn't accidental, but masterful historical alchemy, transmuting empires into mythology. Each border, each designation beckons us to question: who wielded the instrument that erased its identity? What civilizations might resurface if we dared redraw those boundaries? As darkness falls across these parchments, curiosity endures, compelling us to seek unmapped territories, untold narratives. As you rest there, perhaps beneath moonlit heavens or dawn's distant radiance, from where do you join tonight's exploration, dear seekers? What hour illuminates your timepiece as these ancient charts unfold within your consciousness? Share your location and moment, connecting us globally in this pursuit of concealed truths. Within flickering flames of forgotten ages, where knowledge once flourished like immortal gardens, lies the devastating chronicle of ancient libraries, vast repositories of wisdom containing keys to civilizations long shrouded in enigma. These sanctuaries of manuscripts, volumes, and inscribed stone were not merely word collections but pulsing centers of human brilliance, protecting secrets capable of unraveling accepted historical threads. Yet repeatedly they met fiery conclusions, their contents transformed to ash, through acts suggesting intentional purpose rather than circumstance. Within Tartarian mystery shadows, one must contemplate: did these devastations target specific knowledge about global empires, their technologies and populations? Who brandished those torches? What truths about Tartaria perished within those conflagrations, forcing us to reconstruct fragments from remaining cinders? The most legendary tragedy unfolds within Egypt's sun-drenched territories, where Alexandria's magnificent library stood as Enlightenment's beacon for nearly 10 centuries. Established during the 3rd century BCE by Ptolemy Evi, this monumental structure housed approximately 700,000 scrolls, attracting scholars from throughout known worlds to debate philosophy, mathematics, and astronomical sciences. Legends describe its Serapeum branch, a temple-library fusion, where mystical texts merged with public knowledge. Historical documentation varies regarding its destruction. Some attribute Julius Caesar's accidental blaze in 48 BCE during his city siege, while others indicate Theophilus' decree in 391 CE, when Christian extremists razed pagan locations, or the Muslim conquest under Caliph Omar in 642 CE, who allegedly ordered scrolls burned as bathhouse fuel. But deeper investigation reveals questions connecting this loss to broader concealments. What if the library contained cartographic evidence and scholarly works detailing Tartarian influences, descriptions of vast Asian steppes where advanced societies captured atmospheric energies, or testimonies from Moorish intellectuals bridging African and Eurasian wisdom? Hidden history proponents suggest Roman emperors, fearing such knowledge empowerment, orchestrated partial destructions, while subsequent religious authorities eliminated texts challenging biblical chronologies. Envision manuscripts recounting Tartarian free energy systems similar to those previously explored, now eternally silenced, their absence allowing Western narratives to claim original invention. Shifting attention eastward, Baghdad's House of Wisdom emerges as another crucible of vanished learning. This 9th century Abbasid marvel translated Greek, Persian, and Indian texts into Arabic, fostering breakthroughs in algebra, optics, and medical sciences. Under patrons like Caliph al-Mamun, it accumulated hundreds of thousands of volumes, serving as intellectual crossroads for diverse faith scholars. Its destruction in 1258 CE, during Mongol siege under Hulagu Khan, remains historically infamous. Rivers flowed black with ink from hurled books, and the Tigris carried drowned knowledge's weight. Mongol chroniclers celebrated the carnage, yet whispers persist about selective preservation, precious manuscripts spirited away, while others faced flame consignment. Within Tartarian contexts, this sacking assumes new significance. Baghdad's position along Silk Road routes positioned it as potential Tartarian chronicle archive, perhaps housing Persian epics, weaving tales of northern empires featuring colossal architecture and nomadic engineers. Hulagu, Genghis Khan's grandson, might have acted beyond conquest to eliminate rival legacy records, ones portraying Tartars not as barbarians, but sophisticated realm heirs. Could Jesuit intermediaries influencing later interpretations have ensured surviving texts omitted Tartarian references, reshaping history favoring emerging powers? Curiosity persists regarding what mathematical treatises on geometric energies, echoing star fort designs, vanished during that assault, leaving gaps in ancient scientific understanding. Across the Bosphorus, Constantinople's imperial library presents another enigmatic layer, Nicaea, a Byzantine treasure spanning from 4th century CE until the city's 1453 fall. Housing rare Greek and Roman works, including lost Aristophanes plays and Hero of Alexandria's engineering manuals, it symbolized classical knowledge continuity. The Fourth Crusade in 1204 inflicted initial damage through Venetian crusaders, pillaging volumes for personal collections. Final devastation came with Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II's conquest, when fires and looting scattered remnants. Mehmed, himself scholarly, preserved some texts in Topkapi Palace, yet thousands perished. Connecting this to Tartaria, consider Constantinople's gateway role between Eastern and Western civilizations. Its shelves likely contained Byzantine accounts of Scythian and Tatar interactions, perhaps diplomatic correspondence, describing Tartarian courts with advanced metallurgy or navigational expertise. Crusaders, backed by papal ambitions, may have targeted heretical or competing histories, while Ottomans consolidating their empire suppressed narratives, elevating pre-Islamic powers. Intriguingly, surviving Vatican library fragments hint at censored passages. Did these conceal Tartarian influences on Byzantine architecture, nomes on Byzantine architecture, nomes harnessing acoustic resonances? This loss fuels speculation about secret society agents like early Templars participating in selective destructions to monopolize esoteric knowledge for their orders. Venturing into New World territories, Mesoamerican library devastation by Spanish conquistadors during the 16th century reveals cultural erasure patterns resonating with Tartarian themes. Maya codices, minuscule bark paper books chronicling astronomy, calendars, and mythology, numbered in thousands before Hernan Cortez's arrival. Bishop Diego de Landa's auto da fe in 1562 at many incinerated vast quantities, deeming them demonic works, leaving only 4 known survivors today. These codices detailed precise celestial observations and architectural alignments, none thus paralleling Tartarian claims about global energy networks. Indigenous oral traditions describe ancient Eastern mariners, possibly connecting to Moorish or Tartarian navigators, sharing pyramid construction techniques across oceans. The Spanish crown, through Inquisition mechanisms, systematically destroyed these records, imposing Christian dominance. But underlying motives might include concealing pre-Columbian contacts challenging European supremacy. Imagine codices depicting transatlantic voyages or shared symbols with Asian Tartary knowledge that, if preserved, could rewrite migration histories. De Landa's own account, Relación de las Cosas de Yucatán, salvaged some details, yet raises doubts about his true intentions and what remained deliberately hidden from historical consciousness. Was his conflagration merely camouflage for smuggling select manuscripts back to Spain, where they deteriorated within royal archives concealed from public scrutiny? Within the Iberian Peninsula, Al-Andalus libraries under Moorish governance present poignant chapters where centers like Cordoba's Great Mosque housed over 400,000 volumes during the 10th century, rivaling Alexandria's intellectual scope. Scholars like Averroes and Maimonides flourished amid translations of Aristotle and Euclid, synthesizing Islamic, Jewish, and Christian philosophical traditions. The Reconquista's culmination in 1492 witnessed Granada's collapse, with Cardinal Cisneros ordering Arabic manuscript burnings in 1500, decimating collections containing alchemical treatises and astronomical charts. Moorish descendants, as research suggests, are theorized as Tartarian architects, their libraries potentially archiving African-Asian engineering and navigational synergies. Catholic monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella framed these acts as spiritual purification, yet perhaps they intended obliterating evidence of superior civilizations influencing European Renaissance developments. Surviving texts in El Escorial library display redactions. Did these eliminate references to Tartarian alliances where Moorish fleets connected with Eastern empires? Furthermore revealed, Nalanda University Library's destruction in India around 1193 by Bakhtiar Khalji's forces consumed a 9-story repository of Buddhist and Hindu manuscripts spanning centuries. Flames raged for months, devouring palm leaf volumes on medicine, logic, and metallurgy, fields potentially intersecting with Tartarian technologies. Khalji's invasion, part of broader Turk expansions, might have targeted syncretic knowledge blurring Islamic and Dharmic boundaries, including possible records of Central Asian interactions with Tartarian nomads. Similarly, Ctesiphon's library in Persia, devastated by Arabs in 637, lost Sasanian annals, chronicling Eastern empires, potentially including Tartarian predecessors. These recurring purges form disturbing patterns: Romans, Mongols, Crusaders, conquistadors, and reconquerors, all serving as agents in apparent obliteration continuums. Conspiracy theories implicate overarching entities like Jesuits, founded in 1540, who accumulated global knowledge while suppressing alternatives, or the Illuminati, rumored to manipulate historical records since the 18th century. Within Tartarian frameworks, these destructions cleared pathways for civilizational resets, erasing evidence of free energy, advanced architecture, and unified cultures led by Moors and indigenous populations. What forbidden volumes on atmospheric harnessing or global navigation were incinerated, forcing humanity to rediscover them piecemeal. The voids left by these conflagrations remain profound, inviting contemplation of alternate timelines where such wisdom endured. Did hidden vaults beneath the Vatican or monastic cellars preserve Tartarian fragments for elite observation only? As embers cool into legend, the quest persists. Who truly feared these libraries' illumination? What revelations await within ashes we dare examine? Venturing into cosmic vastness overlaying our terrestrial enigmas, we approach thresholds where Tartarian narratives intersect with stellar mysteries, prompting skyward contemplation, questioning whether this elusive empire's architects originated solely from our world. What if towering spires and intricate domes attributed to human craftsmanship were inspired or engineered by visitors from beyond our celestial sphere? This hypothesis, blending mud-shrouded Tartarian ruins with extraterrestrial mythology, invites re-examination of global myths and anomalies, weaving tapestries suggesting intervention from celestial realms. As we explore these possibilities, boundaries between legend and reality blur, leaving us wondering, could Tartaria represent humanity's greatest cosmic collaboration, a golden age abruptly severed by forces barely comprehensible? Ancient narratives across continents overflow with tales of divine figures arriving from heavens, bestowing knowledge propelling civilizations forward. Sumerian epics describe Anunnaki gods who came down from heaven as human society architects, mining precious metals and constructing cities with technologies far exceeding primitive implements. These beings, frequently portrayed with winged discs or hovering vessels, mirror descriptions in contemporary UFO encounters, raising intriguing prospects that they seeded foundations of what we now recognize as Tartaria. Envision Enlil and Enki, rival siblings among Anunnaki, directing ziggurat construction that theorists link to Tartarian energy amplifiers, their step designs channeling cosmic forces into terrestrial networks. If Tartaria spanned Eurasia and beyond, as antique cartography suggests, might these sky deities have unified disparate populations under shared blueprints, infusing Moorish and indigenous builders with otherworldly insights? The Epic of Gilgamesh describes gods granting eternal life quests and flood warnings, echoes of mud cataclysms allegedly burying Tartarian metropolises. Such parallels stimulate imagination. Were Anunnaki the celestial gods who elevated Tartaria to unparalleled heights, only to withdraw amid internal conflicts or earthly rebellion? Hindu scriptures present Vimanas, flying palaces, or chariots propelled by mercury vortices, as divine intervention vehicles capable of interstellar travel and devastating warfare. The Mahabharata describes battles where gods unleash weapons resembling nuclear explosions, scorching territories and leaving vitrified ruins. Some connect to Tartarian sites throughout Central Asia. Indra, the thunder-wielding deity, rides Vimanas across skies, similar to Native American thunderbirds bringing fire and knowledge to earthly tribes. Could these myths encode memories of extraterrestrial mentors guiding Tartarian expansion, their craft mistaken for divine transportation? Archaeological curiosities support this notion. India's Vitala temple features musical pillars resonating at frequencies defying simple craftsmanship, potentially tuned to cosmic harmonics taught by sky visitors. Extending this to Tartaria, envision star forts as landing platforms for Vimana-like vessels, the geometric precision aligning with stellar constellations, facilitating arrivals from Orion or Sirius constellations, revered in Egyptian and Dogon, African traditions as star beings' homes. The Dogon people of Mali offer compelling testimonies, their oral histories detailing visits from amphibious entities from Sirius, who imparted astronomical knowledge including invisible companion star Sirius B, unknown to Western science until the 19th century. These Nommo, arriving in spinning arcs descending with thunderous sounds, taught agriculture, metallurgy, and architecture, power skills paralleling Tartarian advancements in energy, harnessing, and monumental construction. If Moorish lineages trace back to African roots intertwined with such visitations, Tartaria might have been a nexus where Syrian wisdom fused with earthly ingenuity. Picture nomadic Tartarian clans, descendants of these instructed peoples, erecting domes, capturing stellar energies, their societies thriving under extraterrestrial patronage until cosmic rifts, perhaps galactic warfare, prompted abandonment, leaving mudflood as parting cataclysms. Biblical accounts add dimensions through Ezekiel's vision of wheeled thrones descending from heavens, their occupants resembling gleaming metal with multifaceted eyes, suggesting biomechanical craft. This Merkabah mysticism, echoed in Jewish Kabbalah, describes ascension to divine realms that some interpret as extraterrestrial encounters or contacts. If biblical Israelites linked to Moorish and Native American lineages in Tartarian theories experience such visitations, their architectural and technological prowess might reflect celestial teachings. The Ark of the Covenant, described as a communication device with specific dimensional requirements, could represent extraterrestrial technology integrated into Tartarian energy networks. Consider the implications. If Tartaria represented a global civilization guided by cosmic mentors, its sudden disappearance might result from galactic politics or universal cycles beyond human comprehension. The mudflood becomes not just terrestrial catastrophe, but cosmic intervention, reshaping Earth's surface to conceal evidence of star-human collaboration. Modern UFO phenomena gain new significance within this framework. Sightings over former Tartarian territories, unexplained aerial craft displaying impossible physics, and abduction accounts describing beings teaching advanced technologies might represent ongoing extraterrestrial interest in Earth's development, monitoring humanity's progress toward rediscovering lost cosmic connections. As we conclude this extraordinary journey through Tartaria's mysteries, remember that truth often surpasses fiction's boundaries. The evidence scattered across our world, architectural anomalies, cartographic erasures, suppressed technologies, and recurring mythologies, points toward deliberately concealed history, where advanced civilizations, possibly guided by cosmic intelligence, once flourished before systematic obliteration. Whether through natural catastrophe, human conspiracy, or extraterrestrial intervention, Tartaria's legacy persists in fragments awaiting rediscovery. As you rest tonight, wherever you may be, carry these revelations forward, question official narratives, and remain open to possibilities that challenge conventional understanding. The cosmos holds infinite mysteries, and Tartaria may represent just one chapter in humanity's forgotten stellar heritage. Connecting to Tartaria, contemplate the lost tribes of Israel, theorized by some as migrating to Eurasian steppes, merging with Tartarian cultures under celestial supervision. The Book of Enoch elaborates on Watcher's angels who descended to teach forbidden arts like metallurgy and astronomy, producing hybrid giants, the Nephilim, who might embody the colossal Tartarian builders of legend. Were these Watchers alien geneticists, engineering superior races to construct global wonders, only for divine or interstellar judgment to flood their creations? Deluge myths, worldwide, from Noah to Deucalion in Greek narratives, reinforce this, portraying sky gods as both creators and destroyers. In Mesoamerica, Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent deity arriving from the east on serpentine vessels, taught calendar systems and pyramid construction before departing with promises of return. Aztec codices depict him as fair-skinned and bearded, contrasting indigenous features, fueling theories of extraterrestrial origins. If Native Americans descend from biblical tribes influenced by such beings, Tartarian outposts in the Americas could represent Quetzalcoatl's legacy, with pyramids like Teotihuacan aligning to Pleiades, stars signaling cosmic origins. Envision Tartarian mariners guided by these deities traversing oceans to erect similar structures, their free energy technology derived from stellar transmissions. Modern anomalies amplify this speculation. UFO sightings cluster over ancient sites like Peru's Nazca Line's geoglyphs, visible only from above, potentially signaling extraterrestrial kin. In Russia near Tartarian heartlands, the 1959 Dyatlov Pass incident saw hikers perish amid reports of glowing orbs, their injuries defying natural explanations. Crop circles, minuscule patterns echoing Tartarian geometries, saw appear overnight, analyzed as plasma discharges from intelligent sources. Whistleblowers like Bob Lazar describe reverse-engineered craft using element 115, perhaps remnants of Tartarian alien technology, suppressed post-mudflood. The Anunnaki narrative circles back with Sitchin's interpretations, positioning these beings as planet Nibiru colonists, mining Earth for gold to repair their atmosphere. Tartaria, in this view, could be a post-Diluvian revival, humans augmented by Anunnaki DNA rebuilding under supervision until independence sparked conflict. Cave paintings worldwide depict helmeted figures descending in ovid craft, from Australia's Wandjina to France's Lascaux universal memories of intervention. Skeptics dismiss these as archetypal myths, but anomalies persist. The Baghdad battery meechant galvanic cells hints at electrical knowledge from sky teachers. Dropper stones in China etched discs recounting crash-landed aliens teaching local survival. In Africa, Credo Mutwa Zulu lore speaks of Chitori reptilians manipulating humanity, echoing global serpent god motifs. Government disclosures fuel curiosity. NASA's avoidance of certain lunar anomalies. Pentagon UFO reports admitting unknown aerial phenomena. If Tartaria harnessed anti-gravity or zero-point energy, were these gifts from extraterrestrials later confiscated by modern elites? The Philadelphia experiment's alleged teleportation mishaps might stem from Tartarian alien technology rediscovered. Cultural echoes in media and series. Probing these links spark debates with episodes tying Tartarian architecture to extraterrestrial blueprints. Reddit threads buzz with theories: Tartaria as alien colony, mudflood as orbital strike. As we ponder these celestial threads, Tartaria transforms from earthly empire to interstellar outpost, its downfall a cosmic drama. Did gods from the sky uplift humanity, only to retreat, leaving us amnesia-bound? The stars hold answers, beckoning us to look up and wonder anew. As night's veil deepens around us, dear listeners, and history's whispers beckon you towards sleep's gentle embrace, we venture into realms where lost continents rise from mythical mists, their fates intertwined with Tartaria's shadowy legacy. Imagine a world where Atlantis, Lemuria, and Tartaria are not isolated echoes of forgotten glory, but threads in a single magnificent tapestry, a unified saga of ascension, splendor, and cataclysmic collapse. Could these fabled realms be manifestations of the same ancient superpower, reshaped by time and storytellers to obscure shared truths? Let us first submerge ourselves in Atlantis's azure depths, that's that legendary island empire, chronicled by Plato in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, around 360 BCE. Drawing from Egyptian priests' accounts, Plato described a naval powerhouse beyond Hercules' pillars, likely the Strait of Gibraltar, boasting concentric rings of land and water, advanced metallurgy, and society ruled by Poseidon-descended monarchs. Atlantis, he claimed, waged war against ancient Athens 9,000 years prior, only to be swallowed by seas in single days and nights of earthquakes and floods. Skeptics dismiss it as hubris allegory, but parallels to Tartaria ignite curiosity. Both are portrayed as technologically superior domains, spanning vast territories with architectures harnessing natural forces. Atlantis's orichalcum, this mysterious alloy, echoes Tartarian free energy metals. What if Atlantis wasn't an isolated isle, but a western outpost of Tartarian networks? Its crystal-powered cities mirroring atmospheric domes we've pondered. The submersion myth aligns eerily with Tartaria's mudflood, suggesting global deluges that buried rather than drowned, preserving ruins beneath sediment layers. Divers off Cuba's coast report submerged megaliths resembling roads and pyramids, while Atlantic sonar mappings reveal anomalous formations. Could these be Tartarian-Atlantean hybrids, their shared fate a destruction cycle engineered to reset human progress? The enigma deepens considering oracles and prophecies woven into Atlantean lore. Edgar Cayce, the 20th century psychic known as the Sleeping Prophet, channeled visions of Atlantis as crystal-dependent civilization destroyed by energy source, misuse around 10,500 BCE. Cayce's readings spoke of migrations Atlantean survivors fleeing to Egypt, Yucatan, and even the Pyrenees, carrying knowledge that seeded pyramids and esoteric traditions. Tie this to Tartaria and patterns emerge. Nomadic Tartars as descendants of these refugees, their vast empire, a revival of Atlantean ingenuity across Eurasia. Casey mentioned a hall of records buried under the Sphinx containing Atlantean artifacts. If unearthed, might it reveal maps linking Atlantis to Tartarian strongholds? The Bimini Road off Florida Matal, a submerged stone pathway discovered in 1968, fuels this speculation. Its precise blocks aligned with magnetic anomalies suggest energy conduits akin to Tartarian grids. As your thoughts drift, ponder, were the gods Plato described intervening in human affairs, the same celestial guides we contemplated earlier, overseeing unified Atlantis Tartaria until overreach invited calamity. Now let imagination sail westward to the Pacific's hidden horizons, where Lemuria beckons as sunken paradise rivaling Atlantis in allure. Coined by 19th century zoologist Philip Sclater to explain Lemuria distributions, Lemuria evolved into mystical continents through occultists like Helena Blavatsky in her 1888 book, The Secret Doctrine. Blavatsky envisioned Lemuria as humanity's cradle, home to third-root races of egg-born beings wielding psychic powers and building cyclopean structures before perishing in volcanic upheavals around 12,000 years ago. James Churchward, in his 1926 tome, The Lost Continent of Mu, claimed to have deciphered ancient tablets describing Mu as Pacific Empire, with 64 million inhabitants, advanced in navigation and hieroglyphics, its colonies stretching to Easter Island and beyond. The intrigue lies in overlaps with Tartaria. Both are depicted as harmonious, technology-infused societies spanning oceans, with monumental tablets allegedly detailing solar-powered devices paralleling Tartarian atmospheric harnesses. Easter Island's Moai statues, with their backs to the ocean, might have faced Mu's direction before submersion, their creators fleeing eastward to join Tartarian networks. The statues' electromagnetic properties, recently discovered through ground-penetrating radar, revealing buried bodies with conductive minerals. Keiko-Tartarian energy manipulation. Churchward claimed Mu's destruction occurred through gas-filled chamber collapses beneath the continent, creating global earthquakes and tsunamis. This catastrophic model parallels mudflood theories where underground disturbances liquefied surface materials, burying Tartarian cities while Mu sank completely. Pacific Ring of Fire volcanic activity might represent ongoing instability from Mu's destruction, with survivors establishing Tartarian civilization as global reset attempt. Ancient Polynesian navigation techniques, using star maps and ocean swells, could preserve Lemurian maritime knowledge later integrated into Tartarian trade networks. The Hawaiian creation myth speaks of Pelia, volcano goddess, battling her sister Namaka, sea goddess Parps encoding memories of land-sea conflicts during Mu's final days. Similar myths across Pacific cultures suggest collective memory of lost homeland, their outrigger canoes and navigation stars guiding refugees to new territories. Consider the implications. If Atlantis represented Western Tartarian outpost and Lemuria, its Pacific counterpart, global catastrophes might have been synchronized attacks on worldwide civilization networks. The timing, so around 12,000 years ago, coincides with Younger Dryas period when dramatic climate changes reshaped Earth's surface. Modern archaeological discoveries support these connections. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, predating Stonehenge by thousands of years, features sophisticated astronomical alignments and megalithic construction techniques, suggesting advanced knowledge preservation from earlier civilizations. Its deliberate burial around 8000 BCE might represent attempts to preserve Tartarian Atlantean Lemurian wisdom for future rediscovery. Underwater ruins off Japan's Yonaguni Monument display stepped pyramid structures with precise angles and drainage systems, potentially representing Lemurian architecture. Carbon dating places submersion around Mu's alleged destruction timeframe, while geometric precision echoes Tartarian building techniques. DNA evidence reveals unexpected human migrations during these periods, with genetic markers spreading across continents in patterns suggesting coordinated movements rather than gradual expansion. Could these represent refugee resettlement programs managed by surviving Tartarian Atlantean Lemurian administrators? As we conclude this extraordinary journey through hidden histories, remember that truth often exceeds fiction's boundaries. Whether through natural catastrophes, human conspiracies, or cosmic interventions, These lost civilizations' legacies persist in fragments awaiting rediscovery by those brave enough to question official narratives. The stars above hold infinite mysteries, and perhaps Tartaria, Atlantis, and Lemuria represent chapters in humanity's forgotten stellar heritage, golden ages, when earth and sky collaborated in ways we're only beginning to remember. As you rest tonight, carry these revelations forward, remain curious, and never stop questioning the stories we've been told. Could Lemuria represent Tartaria's eastern flank, its submersion a mirrored destiny to Atlantis, triggered by identical pole-shifting cataclysms that unleashed mud torrents across steppes? Archaeological whispers amplify this connection through Easter Island's Moai statues, massive basalt figures erected between 1200 and 1600 CE, bearing elongated features and enigmatic Rongorongo scripts that some link to Mer's legacy. Thor Heyerdahl's Kon-Tiki expedition in 1947 demonstrated Pacific crossings were achievable with ancient technology, suggesting cultural exchanges between Mu Lemurian outposts and Tartarian mariners. Underwater ruins off Yonaguni Island, Japan, discovered in 1986, feature terraced stone formations resembling stepped pyramids, potentially dating to 10,000 years old, pre-flood artifacts that could bridge Lemurian psychic architecture with Tartarian precision. Blavatsky's theosophy positioned Lemuria's fall due to moral decay, similar to Atlantis. If Tartaria shared this lineage, its mud burial might symbolize a third iteration in cycles of ascension and resets. As sleep tugs at your consciousness, envision Pacific seafarers, years to Mu merging with Eurasian nomads to forge Tartaria, their shared symbols of swastikas and spirals, encoding cosmic knowledge lost to waves and earth. The tapestry grows richer when interlacing these with other ancient marvels, like Dwarka's sunken city off India's Gujarat coast, submerged around 1500 BCE. According to marine archaeology, described in the Mahabharata as Krishna's golden capital with crystal palaces and flying machines, Dwarka's ruins, rectangular blocks and artifacts, evoke Atlantean opulence, while its Vedic roots tie to Lemurian psychic traditions. Could Dwarka be a nodal point where Atlantis, Lemuria, and Tartaria converge to a trade hub for interstellar-inspired technology? Similarly, Bolivia's Pumapunku features precision-cut andesite stones interlocked without mortar, dated to 1500 BCE, defying primitive tool explanations. Magnetic anomalies there suggest energy manipulation linking to Tartarian devices. Tiwanaku nearby, with its Gate of the Sun carved from single blocks aligned with solstices, hints at global calendar systems shared among these realms. This interconnectedness sparks theories of pre-Diluvian world government, where Atlantis ruled Atlantic territories, Lemuria governed Pacific regions, and Tartaria bridged continental masses, united under councils of enlightened beings. Hopi Native Americans speak of previous worlds destroyed by fire, ice, and flood, their Kinkana spirits as star people, guiding survivors, echoes of Moorish and indigenous roles in Tartaria. Sumerian king lists record reigns spanning thousands of years, with pre-flood monarchs possessing divine bloodlines, suggesting hybrid rulers overseeing this triune empire. Geological clues heighten mysteries through ice core data from 12,000 years ago, showing rapid climate shifts aligning with younger Dryas, impacts that could have sunk Atlantis and Lemuria while mud flooding Tartaria. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, buried deliberately around 9,600 BCE, features T-pillars with animal carvings, perhaps warnings of cyclic cataclysms, its location near Tartarian frontiers, implying post-Lemurian refuge. Occult traditions like Rosicrucianism posit hidden masters, preserving Atlantean Lemurian Tartarian wisdom in underground vaults, from Tibet's Shambhala to Egypt's Giza Plateau. The emerald tablets of Thoth, allegedly Atlantean, describe energy crystals resonating with Tartarian dome designs. As we circle these possibilities, questions linger: were Atlantis, Lemuria, and Tartaria facets of one antediluvian supercivilization, fragmented by disaster and deliberate amnesia? Plato's 9,000 years might symbolize cycles rather than chronology, with each fall birthing new eras. Modern anomalies like Bermuda Triangle vanishings near alleged Atlantean sites or Pacific Ring of Fire, earthquakes over Lemurian remnants hint at lingering energies. In this nocturnal reverie, dear listeners, let these linked legends lull you, sparking dreams of unified ancients. What submerged secrets await discovery, uniting these realms in grand cosmic narratives? As you drift towards sleep, perhaps from quiet world corners or vibrant city glows, I'd love hearing your reflections on these ancient connections. As the world outside fades into quiet repose, let us turn attention to narratives pulsing with hidden lineage rhythms and stolen legacies. The profound roles of Moors and Native Americans within Tartarian tapestries. Drawing from audience insights, we delve into provocative ideas that these peoples weren't peripheral historical figures, but true architects of vanished empires, descendants of ancient biblical tribes whose contributions were systematically obscured. What secrets lie within their bloodlines, artistry, and enduring symbols? Join me as we unravel these threads, each one inviting questions about stories we've been told, allowing curiosity to guide us towards slumber's edge. The Moors emerge from medieval annals not as mere conquerors or traders, but as bearers of royal heritage stretching back to antiquity's sands. Often portrayed in European chronicles as dark-skinned warriors from North Africa, the term Moor encompassed Berber, Arab, and sub-Saharan people, mosaics who held Iberian Peninsula, sway for nearly 8 centuries from 711 to 1492 CE. Their Al-Andalus realm was innovation crucible, where algebra flourished under scholars like Al-Khwarizmi and observatories mapped stars with precision rivaling heavens themselves. But peer beneath surfaces and boulder claims surface, could Moors be living remnants of Judah's tribe, one of Israel's 12 tribes scattered after Assyrian conquests around 722 BCE? This notion, echoed in esoteric texts and modern fringe scholarship, posits that Judah's descendants migrated westward, blending with African cultures before surging into Europe. Their emblematic lion motifs seen in Moorish heraldry mirror Judah's biblical symbol, while their architectural prowess, this Think Alhambra's intricate geometric patterns, hints at sacred geometries aligning with Tartarian energy systems we've contemplated. What fuels this intrigue is Moor's undeniable imprint on global exploration and construction. Historical whispers suggest they navigated Atlantic waters long before Columbus, with accounts like the 14th century Book of Knowledge of All Kingdoms describing African mariners reaching distant shores. If Tartaria represented worldwide networks of advanced settlements, Moors might have been its seafaring vanguard, erecting mosques and fortresses, doubling as observatories or power hubs. Consider Mudéjar style in Spain, blending Islamic arches with Christian elements. Could this fusion symbolize deeper synthesis of Israelite wisdom with Tartarian technology? Proponents argue that European powers, upon Reconquista completion, didn't just expel Moors, they appropriated their knowledge, renaming inventions and erasing lineages to claim supremacy. Granada's library destruction in 1500, as touched upon earlier, might have targeted scrolls detailing Judah's exodus, linking Moors to pyramid builders in Egypt and beyond. As you settle deeper into pillows, imagine Moorish navigators with star charts in hand, guiding fleets to Tartarian outposts, their dark sails carrying biblical promise weights unfulfilled. Shifting our gaze across oceans, Native Americans enter narratives not as isolated land stewards, but as masterful engineers whose works rival any ancient world wonders, from Anasazi cliff dwellings in southwestern territories to Mississippian mounds throughout Midwest regions. Their constructions speak of sophistication defying primitive labels thrust upon them by colonial historians. But delve deeper into suppressed theories, and startling propositions emerge. Could Native American tribes represent descendants of Israel's remaining 10 lost tribes, scattered during Assyrian deportations, yet preserving ancestral knowledge through oral traditions and sacred ceremonies? This concept, explored by researchers like Stephen Collins in The Lost 10 Tribes of Israel, suggests migrations across Bering Land bridges or even Atlantic crossings brought Israelite populations to American continents. Consider linguistic parallels between Hebrew and various Native American languages, shared ceremonial practices involving 7-day festivals, and architectural techniques echoing Middle Eastern construction methods. The Cherokee, for instance, possess creation stories remarkably similar to biblical Genesis accounts, while their governmental structures mirror ancient Israelite tribal councils. If authentic, these connections position Native Americans not as primitive societies awaiting European civilization, but as inheritors of sophisticated knowledge systems capable of continent-spanning construction projects. The Serpent Mounds of Ohio, Medicine Wheels of Wyoming, and Cliff Palaces of Mesa Verde could represent Tartarian outpost remnants, their builders carrying technological secrets across oceanic expanses. Archaeological evidence supports these radical reinterpretations. Carbon dating of certain Native American sites predates accepted migration timelines, while construction techniques display mathematical precision, suggesting advanced engineering knowledge. The Cahokia settlement near present-day St. Louis featured urban planning sophistication with population estimates reaching 10,000 to 20,000 inhabitants, rivaling European cities of similar periods. Their astronomical alignments, particularly at sites like Chaco Canyon in New Mexico, demonstrate celestial knowledge, matching or exceeding contemporary Old World observations. Could these represent surviving fragments of Tartarian astronomical networks, their builders maintaining star map traditions inherited from biblical ancestors? The suppression angle gains credibility when examining systematic destruction of Native American historical records during European colonization. Spanish conquistadors burned countless codices, while Anglo-American settlers deliberately destroyed sacred sites and oral tradition keepers. This mirrors patterns observed in Moorish library destructions, this coordinated efforts to eliminate evidence of advanced pre-European civilizations. Modern DNA studies add intriguing layers to these theories. Certain Native American populations display genetic markers, suggesting Middle Eastern origins, while mitochondrial DNA patterns indicate multiple migration waves rather than single Bering Strait crossings. Could some of these waves represent Israelite tribal movements, their descendants establishing Tartarian networks across American continents? The trading connections between Moorish navigators and Native American coastal tribes gain significance within this framework. If both groups descended from biblical tribes, Moors from Judah, Native Americans from remaining 10 tribes, their interactions could represent family reunions after millennia of separation, sharing technological knowledge and spiritual practices preserved through different cultural adaptations. Consider the implications. If Moors and Native Americans were Tartarian empire architects rather than peripheral players, their systematic marginalization by European powers represents not just territorial conquest, but deliberate historical revision. The wealth of knowledge, technological innovations, and spiritual wisdom attributed to European Renaissance achievements might actually represent appropriation of Moorish Native American innovations. The star fort constructions found throughout both Moorish territories and Native American regions could represent standardized defensive synergy harvesting designs, their geometric precision reflecting shared engineering traditions rather than coincidental parallel development. The similarities in architectural styles, astronomical alignments, and construction techniques across continents suggest coordinated planning rather than independent cultural evolution. As these revelations settle into consciousness, consider how dramatically this reframes accepted historical narratives. The age of exploration becomes an age of appropriation, while the Enlightenment represents systematic theft of pre-existing knowledge systems. The Moors and Native Americans emerge not as conquered peoples, but as dispossessed inheritors of global civilization networks, their true contributions hidden beneath layers of propaganda and manufactured mythology. Tonight, as you rest beneath stars that once guided both Moorish navigators and Native American astronomers, remember that truth often lies buried beneath official narratives, waiting for curious minds to uncover connections that challenge everything we thought we knew about our shared human heritage. The Cahokia Mounds near modern St. Louis, peaking around 1200 CE, formed urban centers larger than contemporary London, featuring earthen pyramids aligned with solstice celestial calendars, echoing Atlantean precision. But here's the tantalizing twist. Could these peoples be descendants of Israel's 10 lost tribes, exiled after Assyrian invasions, migrating across Beringia, or even sailing from Levantine shores? This theory, popularized during the 19th century by British Israelism advocates, finds roots in biblical prophecies like those in Isaiah foretelling gatherings from Earth's ends. Native oral traditions, such as Hopi emergence myths or Cherokee tales of ancient Eastern origins, resonate with Israelite Exodus stories, while linguistic curiosities like alleged Hebrew words in Algonquian languages add mysterious layers. Native American construction feats further stoke these connections, positioning them as Tartaria's authentic builders. The Inca's Machu Picchu, with earthquake-resistant stonework fitted without mortar, suggests harmonic engineering knowledge capable of harnessing seismic energies, parallels to Tartarian resilience against cataclysms. In North America, Ohio's Serpent Mound, a 1,000-foot effigy aligned with lunar cycles, might encode Israelite serpent symbols from numbers, while Pueblos' underground ceremonial chambers evoke hidden Israelite sanctuaries. If Tartaria encompassed the Americas, as some antique maps imply with Tartari labels near Alaska, native peoples could have been its indigenous core, blending tribal wisdom with imported Israelite lore to erect grand exposition precursors. Colonial encounters, however, twisted this narrative. Spanish chroniclers like Bartolomé de las Casas noted native resemblances to Jews in customs and physiognomy, yet missions suppressed such links, burning codices that might have chronicled transoceanic migrations. As night envelops you, picture native shamans atop mounds, invoking stars that once guided lost tribes to these shores, their earthworks the foundations of Tartarian dreams deferred. Now intertwine these strands, Moors as Judah's heirs and natives as scattered 10 tribes, and unified Tartarian visions crystallize. Audience reflections paint them as co-creators of this empire, their alliance forging pyramids from Giza to Teotihuacan, railways spanning continents, and cultures rich in navigation and astronomy. Biblical echoes abound. Judah's tribe leadership role mirrors Moorish regal influence in Al-Andalus, while 10 tribes' dispersion aligns with native diaspora myths. Genetic studies add intrigue means traces of Middle Eastern DNA in some native populations, like Cherokee, suggest ancient crossings, while Moorish haplogroups show African Israelite blends. Tartarian symbols such as griffins or double-headed eagles appear in Moorish heraldry and native totems, hinting at shared iconography from common sources. European conquests, in this lens, become acts of usurpation. Columbus's 1492 voyage, backed by expelled Moorish knowledge, led to native realm plundering with Tartarian remnants, Grand Canyon carved as quarries, or buried cities, claimed as discoveries. The transatlantic slave trade further muddled lineages, blending Moorish descendants with native communities, their Israelite heritage diluted yet preserved in spirituals and rituals. Freemasonic influences, with their Israelite temple motifs, might have co-opted this legacy, building modern capitals atop Tartarian sites while suppressing builders' stories. Yet resistance pockets endure. Moorish science temple teachings in early 20th century America revived claims of Moorish American unity as original inhabitants, while native prophecies like the ghost dance foretold restoration of ancient ways. Archaeological finds, such as Hebrew-inscribed stones in Tennessee or Moorish coins in colonial digs, tease at buried truths. As we ponder these connections, questions arise. If Moors and natives were Tartaria's true progenitors, heirs to Israel's tribes, what suppressed technologies, star-aligned medicines, or communal harmonies might they reclaim? Dear listeners, these people's roles transcend history. They embody quests for identity amid erasure. We now turn our gaze to Tartaria's lingering echoes in our modern era. What if this enigmatic empire's remnants aren't confined to dusty archives or buried ruins, but woven into today's world fabric, influencing everything from viral internet debates to cutting-edge scientific pursuits? In the digital age where information flows like unending rivers, Tartaria has resurfaced not as forgotten footnotes, but as phenomena captivating online communities. Platforms like Reddit and YouTube have become modern forums for pseudo-historical discussions, with subreddits such as Raj Tartaria boasting thousands of members dissecting old maps, architectural anomalies, and geological oddities. As of 2025, these spaces buzz with fresh analyses, including radar scans revealing underground structures beneath Giza pyramids that enthusiasts link to Tartarian energy-focusing technologies. These discoveries, reported in scientific outlets, fuel debates about electromagnetic wave amplification in ancient chambers, blurring lines between established archaeology and speculative theory. Imagine scrolling through late-night threads where users share grainy photos of half-buried windows in European cities, questioning if these are scars from global mud events rather than mere urban evolution. The allure lies in empowerment, ordinary people armed with smartphones and open-source tools, piecing together puzzles that mainstream history allegedly overlooks. Podcasts have amplified this resurgence, turning Tartaria into alternative media staples. Episodes like Deep Research, Tartaria, from July 2024 delved into conspiracy roots, exploring how ornate World's Fair structures might have been repurposed, Tartarian relics, demolished to erase free energy system evidence. Listeners are drawn by narratives of atmospheric electricity, harnessed through domes and spires, Luno's concepts echoing Tesla's suppressed inventions. In 2025, shows on platforms like Apple Podcasts continue dissecting CIA declassified documents, some purportedly hinting at hidden civilizations with advanced technology. These discussions aren't mere entertainment, they inspire real-world actions, with amateur researchers organizing virtual tours of Tartarian sites via Google Earth, spotting star forts and satellite imagery aligning with geomagnetic lines. Questions arise. Are these patterns coincidences or remnants of deliberate global networks designed for energy distribution? Social media, particularly the X, formerly Twitter, serves as real-time pulses for Tartaria's modern influence. Hashtags like #Tartaria and #Mudflood trend sporadically, with users sharing videos of unexplained urban features, sunken basements in Chicago, or bricked-up doors in San Francisco, suggesting catastrophic burial events. A July 2025 thread analyzed 19th-century orphan trains as potential cover-ups for mudflood survivors, linking to declassified files that some interpret as evidence of population resets. Influencers channel messages from entities like Pleiadians, claiming Tartaria was a golden age of harmony disrupted by dark forces, with free energy technology buried alongside its cities. These posts garner thousands of engagements, blending spirituality with conspiracy, prompting users to question energy monopolies in today's world. YouTube documentaries like The Hidden Empire, Tartaria Exposed, accumulate millions of views, featuring computer-generated reconstructions of alleged Tartarian cities based on architectural analysis of World's Fair photographs. Content creators dissect everything, from building foundations to window proportions, arguing that construction timelines were impossible without pre-existing structures. Comment sections become battlegrounds where believers clash with skeptics, each side presenting evidence ranging from historical maps to geological surveys. The movement has spawned merchandise t-shirts, emblazoned with "Tartaria was real" and coffee mugs featuring antique maps. Conferences like Tartaria Con, scheduled for September 2025 in Las Vegas, promise to unite researchers, featuring speakers who claim to have uncovered suppressed documents or archaeological evidence supporting the conspiracy. Academic responses vary from dismissive ridicule to cautious engagement. Some historians acknowledge that public fascination with alternative narratives reflects deeper dissatisfaction with conventional explanations, while others worry about misinformation spread in era of declining institutional trust. Scientific communities face particular challenges as Tartarian enthusiasts appropriate legitimate research, citing studies on ancient electromagnetic knowledge or architectural acoustics to support their theories. The line between serious inquiry and pseudo-scientific speculation becomes increasingly blurred. Modern technology enables unprecedented investigation methods. Ground-penetrating radar reveals anomalous subsurface structures beneath major cities, while LiDAR mapping uncovers geometric patterns in landscapes that enthusiasts interpret as Tartarian infrastructure remnants. Drone photography captures architectural details previously invisible, allowing frame-by-frame analysis of historical photographs to identify allegedly impossible construction techniques. Artificial intelligence assists in pattern recognition, with algorithms scanning thousands of historical images for consistent architectural elements that might support unified civilization theories. The movement intersects with broader contemporary concerns about energy independence and environmental sustainability. Proponents argue that rediscovering Tartarian free energy technologies could solve modern crises, positioning the conspiracy as potentially world-saving rather than merely historical curiosity. Cryptocurrency communities have embraced Tartarian symbolism, with tokens named after the empire and blockchain projects claiming to preserve suppressed historical knowledge. NFT collections feature digital reconstructions of alleged Tartarian architecture, selling for thousands of dollars to collectors who view them as preserving alternative history. Educational implications emerge as younger generations encounter Tartarian theories through social media before traditional history classes. Teachers report students questioning textbook narratives, demanding explanations for architectural anomalies or geographical inconsistencies highlighted in online content. This generational shift represents broader changes in information consumption, where decentralized content creation challenges institutional authority. The Tartarian phenomenon embodies tensions between democratized knowledge production and expert credibility, raising questions about how societies determine historical truth in digital ages. Mental health professionals note both positive and negative aspects of conspiracy community participation. While some individuals find purpose and belonging in research communities, others develop unhealthy obsessions that isolate them from mainstream society. The phenomenon extends beyond Western audiences, with international variations emerging. Russian speakers discuss Tartaria's ancestral homeland, while Chinese netizens debate connections between Tartarian maps and historical Chinese territories. Each cultural context adds unique interpretations and evidence, creating global tapestries of alternative historical narratives. Commercial interests capitalize on growing fascination through tours of allegedly Tartarian sites, books promising hidden knowledge revelation, and documentaries presenting one-sided evidence. The monetization of conspiracy theories raises ethical questions about profiting from potentially misleading information. As 2025 progresses, Tartarian theories continue evolving, incorporating new archaeological discoveries, technological advances, and global events into ever-expanding narratives. Whether viewed as harmless entertainment, dangerous misinformation, or genuine historical inquiry, the phenomenon represents significant cultural forces shaping how contemporary societies understand their past and envision their futures. The digital resurrection of Tartaria demonstrates humanity's eternal quest for meaning beyond official narratives, reflecting deeper needs for wonder, agency, and connection in increasingly complex modern worlds. As these theories proliferate and evolve, they serve as fascinating case studies in contemporary mythology making and collective meaning construction. Could contemporary movements toward renewable energy represent concealed rediscovery of Tartarian principles suppressed by identical organizations that allegedly engineered the empire's destruction? Beyond digital domains, Tartaria's influence permeates modern architecture and urban development, subtly shaping how we construct and inhabit spaces. Contemporary architects extract inspiration from neoclassical components, domes, archways, and geometric configurations that Tartarian researchers attribute to this vanished empire's blueprints. In metropolitan areas like Washington, D.C., the capital's cupola isn't merely decorative. Some theorize it incorporates resonant characteristics for subtle energy circulation, echoing Tartarian capacitor systems. Recent 2025 initiatives in sustainable construction, including biomimetic structures that replicate natural frequencies for occupant wellness, mirror claims about Tartarian buildings tuned for healing and elevation. Symposiums on sacred geometry hosted in venues like Alhambra-inspired halls investigate how these configurations could optimize contemporary environments for health benefits, similar to alleged vibrational chambers of antiquity. Fascination intensifies with programs retrofitting historical buildings using smart technology, sparking speculation. Are we unconsciously reviving Tartarian harmonics through our pursuit of environmentally conscious living? The theory's influence reaches scientific frontiers where Tartaria's purported unlimited energy systems motivate continuing research. Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower, frequently referenced as contemporary reflection of Tartarian towers, drives experiments in wireless power distribution. Throughout 2025, laboratories worldwide examine atmospheric electricity capture using elevated collectors, reminiscent of the Empire's alleged receivers. Publications including International Journal of Energy Research discuss zero-point energy mechanisms, with some peripheral studies connecting them to historical irregularities in ancient architecture. Whistleblowers and innovators claim suppression of these technologies, reflecting narratives about Tartarian knowledge hoarded by powerful groups. Philadelphia experiment law involving naval teleportation disasters receives renewed attention in quantum physics communities, with simulations indicating etheric fields once harnessed by ancient civilizations. As fusion and cold electricity prototypes progress, questions emerge: is humanity approaching reclamation of Tartarian inheritance, or merely discovering fragments of deliberately concealed science? Cultural and artistic expressions maintain Tartaria's vitality, transforming it into symbols of lost potential, resonating within today's creative environments. Literature and cinema, such as speculative fiction set in reimagined Tartarian worlds, explore themes of erased histories and reclaimed paradises. A 2025 production, Echoes of the Mud Flood, combines historical drama with science fiction, portraying survivors reconstructing civilization amid suppressed technology. Music producers incorporate pipe organ resonances from cathedrals, claiming they evoke Tartarian healing frequencies, while visual artists recreate mandala windows in digital formats for meditation applications. Festivals celebrating ancient architecture attract audiences to locations like Russia's Kremlin, where guided tours emphasize unexplained alignments. This cultural renaissance fosters empowerment sensations, encouraging populations to question energy dependencies and pursue sustainable alternatives inspired by historical precedents. However, Tartaria's legacy remains controversial, frequently intersecting with broader conspiracy frameworks challenging societal structures. During 2025, debates flourish on platforms like TikTok, where brief videos analyze Tartarian symbols in modern logos, Mika, double-headed eagles in corporate emblems, or phoenix imagery in national insignias, suggesting hidden continuities. Some connect these to free energy suppression theories, referencing patents vanished since the 1900s, while others link them to population resets through orphan train programs. These concepts influence activism, with organizations advocating for declassified archives concerning historical catastrophes. The theory's attraction lies in abundance promises. If Tartaria harnessed unlimited power, why can't contemporary society? This perspective drives innovation within off-grid communities, experimenting with vortex water systems and harmonic gardens, merging mythology with practical ecology. As we contemplate these modern manifestations, Tartaria emerges beyond historical curiosity as a catalyst for re-evaluating our reality. From subterranean anomalies revealed by 2025 geophysical surveys to grassroots deciphering of antique cartography on forums, evidence continues surfacing, obscuring boundaries between fact and speculation. Its influence penetrates discussions on climate manipulation, where mud flood theories parallel contemporary geological disasters, plus energy independence, inspiring solar and wind initiatives that unconsciously replicate atmospheric collection methods. Even within psychology, collective fascination indicates deeper human longing for periods when harmony prevailed, liberated from scarcity's constraints. Could this legacy herald new eras where rediscovered principles revolutionize society, or does it caution about repeating cycles with resets approaching if we ignore warning signs? As final embers of our investigation flicker in approaching twilight, beloved listeners, time arrives to weave threads of this extraordinary narrative together. Here on Mystery History for Sleep, where boundaries between consciousness and dreams dissolve into whispers, we've traversed labyrinthine secrets of Tartaria, the domain defying conventional chronicle limitations. I am your unwavering guide through these mysteries. Let us contemplate forgotten truths we've excavated, allowing them to resonate like distant echoes within vast unexplored caverns. What revelations await those bold enough to investigate further? How might these historical shadows illuminate future pathways? As you settle within your comfortable refuge, permit these inquiries to circulate gently through consciousness, inviting peaceful curiosity that escorts you toward rest. Throughout our expedition, we've stripped away deception layers, revealing narratives far richer than sanitized history textbooks. The catastrophic mud flood, that viscous surge of earth and enigma, stands as pivotal force, not merely geological accident, but potential harbinger of orchestrated obliteration, entombing urban centers and silencing technologies that once captured atmospheric essence itself. We've examined star forts, those celestial guardians carved into landscapes, their geometries suggesting untapped energies and concealed purposes. World's fairs emerge as masked exhibitions of salvage magnificence, hastily demolished to obscure empire remnants. Ancient cartography, with disappearing references, charts deliberate boundary rewriting, while incinerated libraries lament knowledge destruction that could have transformed our understanding of origins. Extraterrestrial implications and connections to submerged realms like Atlantis and Lemuria expand perspectives, positioning Tartaria as nexus within cosmic drama. Moors and Native Americans, theorized as heirs to Israel's dispersed tribes, reclaim roles as master architects, their legacies appropriated yet enduring. Within contemporary contexts, these reverberations persist through digital discourse and scientific exploration, reminding us that past events never truly disappear. Yet this investigation's authentic power resides not in conclusive solutions but in fertile inquiry ground it nurtures. Consider how Tartaria's shadow extends into current innovations and debates, challenging us to question foundational assumptions underlying our constructed realities. Recent 2025 discussions witness scholars and enthusiasts analyzing Western cartographic evolution of Tartary, highlighted in June Library of Congress, publications tracing terminology across centuries, questioning why such extensive labeling dissolved into obscurity. This examination prompts inquiry: was it mere geographical refinement or subtle erasure of unified domains? Similarly, February 2025 podcast episodes explore the empire's enormous scope, theorizing that global architecture originates from Tartarian craftsmanship, only to be claimed by subsequent narratives following mudslide catastrophes. These contemporary dialogues demonstrate how historical mysteries continue inspiring modern investigation, bridging centuries through shared curiosity about suppressed truths. As investigation methodologies advance through technological progress, new evidence emerges challenging established narratives. Satellite imagery reveals geometric patterns in landscapes suggesting deliberate design, while ground-penetrating radar uncovers subsurface structures defying conventional archaeological explanations. Artificial intelligence assists pattern recognition across historical photographs, identifying architectural consistencies that might support unified civilization theories. These tools democratize research, enabling individuals worldwide to contribute discoveries that collectively challenge institutional historical interpretations. The phenomenon reflects broader cultural shifts, where information accessibility transforms how societies construct understanding about their past. Traditional gatekeepers of historical knowledge face challenges from decentralized research communities armed with digital tools and collaborative platforms. Whether Tartaria represents authentic hidden history or contemporary mythology-making process, its influence on modern thought remains undeniable. The search for alternative explanations reflects deeper dissatisfaction with official narratives that seem inadequate for explaining observed anomalies and contradictions. Educational systems struggle adapting to information environments, where students encounter alternative theories before traditional instruction. Teachers report difficulties addressing questions about architectural inconsistencies or cartographic mysteries highlighted through online content consumption. This generational transformation indicates fundamental changes in knowledge, authority structures, where expertise must compete with crowdsourced investigation and peer-to-peer information sharing. The Tartarian phenomenon exemplifies tensions between institutional credibility and democratic knowledge production. Mental health considerations emerge as individuals navigate between mainstream consensus and alternative belief systems. While some find community and purpose within research groups, Others experience isolation or obsessive behaviors that interfere with daily functioning. The cultural expressions continue evolving as Tartarian themes inspire artistic creations, educational content, and commercial ventures. From historical fiction novels to architectural tours, the phenomenon generates economic activity while spreading alternative historical awareness. International variations demonstrate how different cultures adapt Tartarian concepts to local contexts, creating diverse interpretations that reflect regional histories and contemporary concerns. Russian discussions emphasize ancestral connections, while American forums focus on indigenous contributions to continental development. As we conclude this profound journey through time's shadows, remember that truth often transcends imagination's boundaries, whether through natural catastrophes, human conspiracies, or cosmic interventions. Evidence suggests deliberate concealment of advanced civilizations whose legacies persist in fragments, awaiting rediscovery by curious minds willing to question established narratives. Tonight, as you rest beneath stars that once guided ancient navigators and illuminated forgotten cities, carry these revelations forward. Remain open to possibilities that challenge conventional understanding, for in questioning lies the seed of genuine discovery. The cosmos holds infinite mysteries, and perhaps Tartaria represents one chapter in humanity's forgotten stellar heritage. The golden age when Earth and sky collaborated in ways we're only beginning to remember. These discussions, amplified across platforms like Apple Podcasts, merge historical analysis with imaginative speculation, encouraging audiences to visualize realms where unlimited energy circulated freely, suppressed by industrial magnates who restructured civilization according to their designs. Within social networks, dialogue thrives with energy, evidenced by X-platform threads from July 2025, where participants analyze the theory's ramifications for ancient deluges and population dispersals, proposing Tartaria as pre-flood superpower, establishing civilizations from Scythians to Ammonites. Content shared during these interactions explores rewritten chronicles, with one July publication framing communism as mechanism for eliminating Tartarian remnants, including Moscow's Cathedral of Christ the Saviour demolition in 1931. Another August 2025 video debunks, while simultaneously reinforcing fascination, observing how the hypothesis transforms obscure Asian territories into vanished paradise, unsupported by mainstream documentation, yet abundant in architectural mysteries. These digital exchanges, frequently accompanied by images of megalithic structures and stellar fortifications, cultivate community-driven investigations where amateur researchers uncover inscriptions and relics that conventional timelines disregard. The theory's widespread distribution on TikTok and Reddit, as cautioned in previous examinations, approaches pseudo-historical territory. Nevertheless, its hazards emerge from reframing innocent curiosities through extremist perspectives, though for numerous individuals it represents harmless skepticism against authoritarian narratives. This renaissance extends beyond screens, permeating practical endeavors where Tartaria's alleged influence motivates reassessments of our constructed environments. During 2025, geophysical investigations utilizing ground-penetrating radar have revealed subterranean irregularities beneath historical locations from Eurasian steppes to American earthworks, generating speculation about buried Tartarian infrastructure. These discoveries, circulated within academic communities, correspond with mudflood dispersal theories where survivors transported cosmic knowledge to new territories, as reflected in July publications connecting Akkadian fires to Scythian antiquity. Innovators experimenting with atmospheric electricity devices reference historical precedents, questioning whether suppressed patents from the 1900s originated from appropriated Tartarian designs. Even within environmental movements, the empire's harmonious blueprints inspire demands for architecture resonating with natural frequencies, opposing modernity's sterile configurations. Beyond these tangible traces, Tartaria's influence persists as metaphor for humanity's insatiable pursuit of truth amid concealment. It compels confrontation with possibilities that our reality rests upon omission layers, where Moors and indigenous peoples, as royal descendants and lost tribes, established empires only to have their chronicles appropriated. The extraterrestrial and ancient civilization connections we've explored suggest grander cosmic theater, where stellar interventions or submerged continents like Lemuria seeded unified golden ages. Through this perspective, the mud flood transcends disaster classification, becoming symbol of reset's mourning that erasure cycles might recur if we remain passive. Therefore, beloved companions in curiosity, I extend heartfelt invitation to action. Don't allow these whispers to dissolve into darkness. Initiate personal investigations, examine antique cartography and digital archives, visit stellar fortifications with renewed perspective, or participate in online communities sharing discoveries. Comment below expressing thoughts which Tartarian aspect captivates you most. Have you encountered anomalies during travels echoing these narratives? Subscribe to Mystery History for Sleep for additional expeditions into unknown territories, and distribute this episode among fellow seekers. Together we can illuminate forgotten knowledge through gentle inquiry. Remember, truth frequently conceals itself within quiet spaces between established facts. Discovery awaits within those intervals. As our shared time approaches serene conclusion, contemplate how Tartaria's enigma reflects personal quests for meaning within uncertain existence. Recent 2025 investigations, including those charting Tartaria's evolution on Western maps, remind us that history remains fluid, perpetually available for reinterpretation. Podcasts examining its enormous scope encourage envisioning alternative pathways humanity might have pursued, liberated from scarcity's constraints. Within X-platform dialogues dissecting its diaspora and suppressed knowledge, we discover collective awakening, the reminder that questioning sparks progress. May these insights accompany you into dreams where possibility boundaries expand limitlessly, until we reunite within mystery realms, rest peacefully, and allow celestial bodies above to whisper secrets to your consciousness. Pleasant dreams. Contemporary renewable energy movements might represent concealed rediscovery of Tartarian methodologies suppressed by identical organizations that allegedly engineered the Empire's collapse. Beyond digital domains, Tartaria's influence penetrates current architecture and urban development, subtly affecting construction and habitation patterns. Modern designers extract inspiration from neoclassical components, lights, cupolas, archways, geometric configurations that Tartarian researchers attribute to the vanished empire's blueprints. In metropolitan areas like Washington, D.C., the capital's dome transcends aesthetics. Some theorize it incorporates resonant characteristics, enabling subtle energy circulation, acknowledging Tartarian capacitor systems. Recent 2025 sustainable design initiatives, including biomimetic structures replicating natural frequencies for occupant wellness, mirror claims regarding Tartarian buildings calibrated for healing and elevation. Sacred geometry conferences hosted in Alhambra-inspired venues investigate how these patterns could optimize contemporary spaces for health benefits, resembling alleged vibrational chambers from antiquity. Fascination intensifies with historic building retrofitting programs incorporating smart technology, sparking speculation. Are we unconsciously reviving Tartarian harmonics through ecological living pursuits? The theory's influence reaches scientific frontiers, where Tartaria's purported unlimited energy systems motivate ongoing research. Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower, frequently referenced as contemporary reflection of Tartarian spires, drives wireless power transmission experiments. Throughout 2025, laboratories worldwide examine atmospheric electricity harvesting, using elevated collectors reminiscent of the Empire's alleged receivers. Publications including International Journal of Energy Research discuss zero-point energy mechanisms, with peripheral studies connecting them to historical irregularities in ancient architecture. Whistleblowers and innovators claim suppression of these technologies, reflecting narratives about Tartarian knowledge hoarded by elites. Philadelphia experiment law, involving naval teleportation disasters, receives renewed attention in quantum physics communities, with simulations indicating etheric fields once harnessed by ancient civilizations. As fusion and cold electricity prototypes progress, questions emerge: is humanity approaching reclamation of Tartarian inheritance, or merely discovering fragments of deliberately buried science? Cultural and artistic expressions maintain Tartaria's vitality, transforming it into symbols of lost potential, resonating within today's creative environments. Literature and cinema exploring speculative fiction set in reimagined Tartarian worlds examine themes of erased histories and reclaimed paradises. The 2025 production Echoes of the Mudflood combines historical drama with science fiction, portraying survivors reconstructing civilization amid suppressed technology. Music producers incorporate pipe organ resonances from cathedrals, claiming they evoke Tartarian healing frequencies, while visual artists recreate mandala windows digitally for meditation applications. Festivals celebrating ancient architecture attract audiences to locations like Russia's Kremlin, where guided tours emphasize unexplained alignments. This cultural renaissance fosters empowerment sensations, encouraging populations to question energy dependencies and pursue sustainable alternatives inspired by historical precedents. However, Tartaria's legacy remains controversial, frequently intersecting with broader conspiracy frameworks challenging societal structures. During 2025, debates flourish on platforms like TikTok, where brief videos analyze Tartarian symbols in modern logos, double-headed eagles in corporate emblems, or phoenix imagery in national insignias, suggesting hidden continuities. Some connect these to free energy suppression theories, referencing vanished patents since the 1900s, while others link them to population resets through orphan train programs. These concepts influence activism, with organizations advocating for declassified archives concerning historical catastrophes. The theory's attraction lies in abundance promises. If Tartaria harnessed unlimited power, why can't contemporary society? This perspective drives innovation within off-grid communities, experimenting with vortex water systems and harmonic gardens, merging mythology with practical ecology. As we contemplate these modern manifestations, Tartaria emerges beyond historical curiosity as catalyst for re-evaluating reality. From subterranean anomalies revealed by 2025 geophysical surveys to grassroots deciphering of antique cartography on forums, evidence continues surfacing, obscuring boundaries between fact and speculation. Its influence penetrates climate manipulation discussions where mudflood theories parallel contemporary geological disasters, plus energy independence, inspiring solar and wind initiatives, unconsciously replicating atmospheric collection methods. Even within psychology, collective fascination indicates deeper human longing for periods when harmony prevailed, liberated from scarcity's constraints. Could this legacy herald new eras where rediscovered principles revolutionize society, or does it caution about repeating cycles with resets approaching if we ignore warning signs? As final embers of our investigation flicker in approaching twilight, beloved listeners, time arrives to weave threads of this extraordinary narrative together. Here on Mystery History for Sleep, where boundaries between consciousness and dreams dissolve into whispers, we've traversed labyrinthine secrets of Tartaria Min, a domain defying conventional chronicle limitations. I am your unwavering guide through these enigmas. Let us contemplate forgotten truths we've excavated, allowing them to resonate like distant echoes within vast unexplored caverns. What revelations await those bold enough to investigate further? How might these historical shadows illuminate future pathways? As you settle within comfortable refuges, permit these inquiries to circulate gently through consciousness, inviting peaceful curiosity that escorts you toward rest. Throughout our expedition, we've stripped away deception layers, revealing narratives far richer than sanitized history textbooks. The catastrophic mudflood erosion, the viscous surge of Earth, and enigma stands as pivotal force, not merely geological accident, but potential harbinger of orchestrated obliteration, entombing urban centers and silencing technologies that once captured atmospheric essence itself. We've examined stellar fortifications, those celestial guardians carved into landscapes, their geometries suggesting untapped energies and concealed purposes. World's fairs emerge as masked exhibitions of salvaged magnificence, hastily demolished to obscure empire remnants. Ancient cartography with disappearing references, charts deliberate boundary rewriting, while incinerated libraries lament knowledge destruction that could have transformed understanding of origins. Extraterrestrial implications and connections to submerged realms like Atlantis and Lemuria expand perspectives, positioning Tartaria as nexus within cosmic drama. Moors and Native Americans, theorized as heirs to Israel's dispersed tribes, reclaim roles as master architects, their legacies appropriated yet enduring. Within contemporary contexts, these reverberations persist through digital discourse and scientific exploration, reminding us that past events never truly disappear. Yet this investigation's authentic power resides not in conclusive solutions, but in fertile inquiry ground it nurtures. Consider how Tartaria's shadow extends into current innovations and debates, challenging us to question foundational assumptions underlying constructed realities. Recent 2025 discussions witnessed scholars and enthusiasts analyzing Western cartographic evolution of Tartary, highlighted in June Library of Congress publications tracing terminology across centuries, questioning why such extensive labeling dissolved into obscurity. This examination prompts inquiry. Was it mere geographical refinement or subtle erasure of unified domains? Similarly, February 2025 podcast episodes explore the empire's enormous scope, theorizing that global architecture originates from Tartarian craftsmanship, only to be claimed by subsequent narratives following mudslide catastrophes.